Zakaj verjamemo v 5G? Ker verjamemo v neomejeno deljenje idej, v svobodo izražanja in ustvarjanja. Verjamemo v skupno doživetje navideznega sveta in da s tehnologijo v resničnem svetu ni nihče izključen. Ker je pri reševanju življenj vsaka sekunda pomembna in ker vsi potrebujemo varnost. Doma, na cesti in na spletu. Ker se veselim prihodnosti.
Mi verjamemo v 5G. V kaj pa ti verjameš? Telekom Slovenije.
Hi everybody, my name is Miran Varga and I am delighted to be your conference guide today. Welcome to the second Southeast Europe Smart Society Conference. What a difference a year makes. I was looking forward to meeting you all in person, but I guess these little screen icons and images will have to do today. Nevertheless, content is what matters most, right? And surely we have plenty of it for you today. You will hear the words smart, cities, and societies a lot, yet pay attention to the things that make them happen, the so-called secret sauce. The central theme of the conference will be the creation of conditions for the digital economy, examples of good practices and positioning within European projects, and yes, funding opportunities. The panel discussions will feature the opinions of stakeholders who help shape smart society, not just in Europe, but globally. Today's second Southeast Europe Smart Society Conference is organized by ICT Innovation Network with support from the ICT Association of Slovenia and the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Slovenia. This event was also made possible with our co-organizers from Digital Innovation Hub Slovenia, Municipality of Ljubljana, the Association of Municipalities and Towns of Slovenia, Romanian Smart City Association, and European Exchange Development Association of Romania. We are also thankful to our partners and supporters, especially our gold partner Telekom Slovenije, gold sponsor Endava Digital Solutions, silver partner Žen Group, bronze partner Optifarm, supporters for Greater Digital Ambition of Slovenia, the AI for SI initiative, and last but not least, our strategic partner, Open and Agile Smart Cities Organization. Without further ado, let's see what we have in store for you. Our first speaker today will be Mr. Andrej Kotar, President of the Conference Program Council and a representative of Endava and Slovenian Digital Coalition. Mr. Kotar will tell us more about how Slovenia and the wider region of Southeast Europe are catching up in transitions towards smart society. Mr. Kotar, today's digital stage is yours.
Good morning. This time last year, in the middle of January, I was traveling to Brussels by plane to attend a live conference on smart society. I was doing something unimaginable just 1 year later, when we are all working from home and attending virtual conferences such as this one. As society, we make big changes only if we are motivated enough. Throughout history, most of motivation to make those changes happen came as our reaction to different threats. European Union was created as a reaction to threat of repeated wars on European soil. And last year, practically overnight, we created a new reality as a reaction to virus pandemic. Are we in Europe and in the region motivated enough to make changes towards smarter society so that we are not left behind in today's world of accelerated globalization of digital economy? I believe we are. For the first time on the European level, we see a clear vision and commitment for Europe to become a global leader in terms of smart society and digital economy. I am privileged today we can welcome with us 3 gentlemen who are the driving force behind the European movement towards smart society. Mr. Edi Hartog, Head of Unit for Smart Society at DG Connect at European Commission, Mr. Martin Brinsko, Chair at OASC, an Open and Agile Smart Cities organization, and Mr. Ulrich Alle, CEO of Fiverr. Today's conference is organized as a pre-event to Global Smart Society event City by City organized by OASC. You're all very welcome to attend the global event, which starts at 1 p.m. right after our conference. In our journey towards smart society, we are learning from those who have walked the path in front of us. Japan is one of those countries that reached the furthest. I'm privileged I can welcome Mr. Yasunori Mochizuki, who will share with us what are the obstacles on the journey towards smart society and how Japan has been successfully fighting those obstacles for years, if not decades. During our journey, we want to share experience with our neighbors and friends in the region. The conference was organized together with the partner country, Romania. I would like to give a warm welcome to Mr. Dragoș Preda, State Secretary for Telecommunications at Romanian government, as well as to all the mayors and representatives of local communities presenting and attending the conference from the Central and Eastern Europe region. So, are we in Slovenia and in the region catching up with the transition towards smart society? I'm glad I can say that in Slovenia, within Slovenian Digital Coalition, we have formed a working ecosystem and strong partnership where all stakeholders are included, from non-government organizations to ministries, associations of local communities, Chamber of Commerce, Strategic Research and Innovation Partnership, and ICT Horizontal Network. Here is what we have achieved so far. In December 2019, the first regional conference for smart society was organized. And for the first conference, we harmonized a national declaration to boost digital transformation of cities, villages, and communities to sustainable smart society. This declaration is available at the conference webpage, and everybody is invited to read and sign it. The text of the declaration itself is based on the European Declaration, which will be today presented by Mr. Hartog. I invite everybody to join the movement by signing the declaration, either the European or the national one, for Slovenian stakeholders. Within Slovenian Digital Coalition, we formed some working groups with the following results so far. The technical working group is focusing on standards and interoperability, and I'm glad that the results of this working group can be presented today by Mr. Yuri Dovžan from Ministry of Public Administration and Mr. Gabor Terseglav from Slovenian Digital Coalition in their presentation on data and service connectivity. Working group for business and legal matters was active too. They prepare suggestions how to set up development so the companies will be able to build products and services with global market potential. I believe that suggestions were heard and will be reflected in smart city projects our ministries are preparing. A very strong track of Slovenian presentations at this conference is proving that there are a lot of activities related to the development of smart society. We would like to take the opportunity of Slovenian presidency of European Union. Together we are preparing an ambitious project to set the path how to implement interoperable and working smart ecosystem between companies, public sector, local communities and citizens with working interoperability mechanisms. We would like to base our project on good practice and experience from previous large European projects, and our European partners are willing to help us with that. In previous years, there has been many successful smart city projects in Europe, but there is no country yet that achieved interoperable working digital ecosystem on the national level. We believe Slovenia is motivated enough to do that and become a reference country for others to follow. Thank you for your attention. I wish us all a successful conference, and I invite Mr. Peter Gršak, State Secretary, Ministry of Public Administration, Republic of Slovenia, to give us his welcome address. Thank you.
See what a difference a year makes. We are getting there, day by day, solution by solution, partnership by partnership, country by country. Our next speaker comes from the state side. Mr. Peter Gršak, State Secretary at the Ministry of Public Administration of Republic of Slovenia, will tell us more about the state's ambition when it comes to smart societies and what partnerships can companies and organizations expect when partnering with the state apparatus. Mr. Gershak, our audience is eager to pick your brain.
Thanks to organizers for inviting me, and thank you, Mr. Kotar, for the word. In the paper, The Smart Society of the Future Doesn't Look Like Science Fiction, written by Chakravorty and Chaturvedi from Tufts University, US, and published by Harvard Business Review, is smart society defined as society where digital technology, thoughtfully developed by governments, can improve on three broad outcomes: the well-being for citizens, the strength of the economy, and the effectiveness of institutions. I like this definition because it puts government in the epicenter and leading role in development and smart society progression. Well, we are all aware that the COVID-19 pandemic has greatly influenced our lifestyles. We have fewer physical contacts, we don't shake hands anymore. We become more aware what does it mean to go out for a coffee with friends or a dinner or on a dinner with family. So to compensate these, people started to use much more computers, internet, mobile phones. So we are seeing accelerated digitalization in societies. However, the accelerated digitalization has exposed some shortcomings and risks of the digital infrastructure and has widened the digital divide. It has also raised questions of digital inclusion, particularly access to digital and digital literacy, legislation, etc. So we will address these shortcomings together as one society in Slovenia and in the coming development period. The smart society development in Slovenia is based on strategic documents such as Smart Specialization Strategy, the Information Society Development Strategy, and similar. We in the Ministry of Public Administration are in the process of renewing the digital strategy for public admin, Information Society Development Strategy. We are creating new data economy strategy. We are preparing the national program for artificial intelligence. And the most importantly, the Digital Slovenia strategy, which will overarch the majority of strategies and will include public and commercial sector with emphasis on growing digital skills and talents in society to become smarter. We are all aware that the advancement of a smart society requires the widest possible stakeholder integration, broad consensus, and the promotion of development. This is why the government is co-founder of the Slovenian Digital Coalition, which also includes working group for smart communities, where my ministry is actively involved as well. Allow me to list some of the activities where my ministry is participating in building the ecosystem of partners. Harmonization of the Slovenian National Declaration for Accelerating the Digital Transformation of Towns, Villages and Communities into Sustainable Smart Society. This declaration is based on the Living in EU Declaration. Secondly, National Open Data Hub, managed by ministry, is a key facilitator of development in this area. And there are also some other activities like standardization of content data models used in different smart cities and communities applications. And of course, the very important topic, interoperability between these solutions and data structures. Right now, the Ministry of Public Administration is preparing a project with which we will help municipalities on the path of digitalization in the areas of resources and infra management, green environment, healthy and active life, mobility, logistics and transport, culture, sport and tourism, security and protection. With this project, we will infuse 16 million euros of European and national funds to municipalities in order to create open, as I said, interoperable and smart digital solutions, which will also be a reference projects for companies which will develop these solutions. Within this and similar financial instruments, we would like to foster digitalization on local and regional level. So cities and communities to become launchpads for the digital transformation of the entire society. Now coming back to the first citation, regarding the strength of the economy, I have to say that accelerated digitalization is bringing us challenges, but opportunities as well. As you know, Slovenia is 2 million citizen country, so scale of economy is not really big. And that's why our companies are looking for ways how to do economic breakthrough, how to achieve it. But here are a few thoughts. We take the EU's political orientation towards digitalization as historic opportunity for us, for Slovenia, to accelerate economic development. As maybe you know, that Slovenia has the highest exports of IT services and products per capita in the world. We must simplify the legislation, which could lead to accelerated stimulation of businesses and startup environment. Thirdly, partnering based on open business models, where partners connect their digital services through a common connectivity architecture, actually enabling and promoting innovation as well here. And as last thought is supporting local companies to build larger reference projects to break through abroad, as I explained just previously with the project for smart cities. So we believe that the government duty is to provide a framework for development, creates effective legislation, sets standards, and gives main guidelines within which local authorities and companies can address challenges. So the Ministry of Public Administration supports the efforts to make Slovenia a leading and exemplary country in the Southeastern Europe in introducing smart society and supports networking cooperation both with Europe and Southeast Europe. And here we especially welcome the participation of Romania in this conference, and welcoming my Romanian colleague, Mr. Dragoș Preda. Thank you very much. I wish you a nice conference. Goodbye.
See, joining forces on national level can lead to great things, namely digital economy and smart cities. Our next guest speaker, Mr. Dragoș Preda, State Secretary for Telecommunications at the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure and Communications of Romania, will present us some good and best practices and expose the key factors that make digital economy a reality. Mr. Preda, the word is yours.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Dragoș Preda. I was appointed a year ago as State Secretary for Telecommunications with a portfolio of project to enrich Romania's IT&C infrastructure development and to better connect European countries, thus pragmatically extending EU digital sovereignty for the next decade. What I've been doing for the last decade is getting involved in future studies and launching many initiatives and even 2 tech startups in my portfolio. Coming back to my domain of responsibilities nowadays, telecom market size is expected to reach over 3,000 billions by 2022, growing at a pace of 6% per year. The growth in the telecom market is attributed to increased development of smart cities and emerging market growth. And I consider myself a true promoter of smart cities and communities for the last 5 years here in Romania. However, the market for telecom is anticipated to face certain restraints from several factors such as security issues and stringent regulatory environment. One of the key restraints of the market include national security. The telecom industry involved in the provision of national networks across the world is increasingly targeted by hackers and exposing various security issues. With the adoption of advanced technologies and growing government initiatives, the scope and potential of the global net telecom market is expected to increase in the forecast period to the top opportunities in the global telecom market will arise in the wired telecom carriers segment, which will gain it is estimated over 300 billion global annual sales by 2022. Telecom market trend-based strategies include offering affordable and fast internet using Wi-Fi, 4G and 5G wireless communication technologies, and offering video-on-demand services along the fixed line services. Player-adopted strategy is in the telecom industry include increased investments in wireless communication technologies and expanding the offerings into emerging countries. Telecom is Europe's major technology business with over 130 billions a year value added and training on the rise. Romania has low income per capita and therefore has some of the lowest mobile and wired ARPUs in the region. Consumer price sensitivity therefore acts as a brake on premium service adoption and usage. The current situation now withstanding economic growth will strengthen over the next 5 years, improving consumer spending power. The telecom sector will focus on the development of converged wireless wireline infrastructure and developing the next generation of multi-service products that will deliver over these new platforms. A relative lack of third-party over-the-top service providers gives a network-based players a head start, but they should look to work with network-agnostic services as they emerge in order to mitigate revenue erosion in the long term. In Romania, the overall fixed broadband take-up stagnated the third year in a row at 66% compared to 78% in EU. Meanwhile, the take-up of at least 30 megabits per second broadband increased significantly, slightly from 55 to 56%, better than EU average that is of 49%. More important, the take-up of the least 100 megabits per second broadband grew from 45 to 49 in the last year, almost double of the EU average of 26%. This trend may be explained by the increase in the share of fiber to the home building, FTTH technology of fixed broadband lines from 59% to 64%. What everybody knows already in the European Union, the German presidency recently completed negotiation on a proposal for regulatory establishing a European cybersecurity center, and we are very pleased to announce once again the launching of this center in Romania in the informal video conference of the Ministers of Telecom, which took place on the 5th of June this year. Commissioner Thierry Breton emphasized that the headquarters of this center must be located in a country that is cyber and connectivity secure, including the cybersecurity of the 5G networks. Romania efforts emphasize country's advanced cybersecurity capabilities and Romania's contribution to the European single market in terms of cybersecurity, high-speed communication infrastructure, and definitely respect for European principles and values, but also the fact that Romania is a reliable partner of NATO and an active actor in the strengthening collaboration with the Eastern Partnership countries and the Western Balkans, including in terms of cybersecurity. Some of the projects to prospect upon are the development of a national strategy on digital transformation and on connectivity with a clear full calendar of implementing their objectives and the pragmatic advance of the national critical infrastructure, the elaboration of national strategy for smart cities and communities, and connecting the municipalities with central government. That's very important to us. The 5G technology entry schedule and the development of digital highway fiber optic cross connect. That is a project that's linked to the digital highway developed in the case of Three Cities initiatives. This is to make the most of the region experience and potential for implementing digital solutions. This goes beyond the development of digital infrastructure and encompasses the creation of smart, modern solutions for data exchange and the more efficient use of information. The development of 5G networks, ensuring the cybersecurity and compliance within an EU-level coordinated approach, represents one of the European key priorities. As I already said, our country was selected ahead of cities like Brussels or Warsaw. Until now, Romania did not host any European agency. And thanks to the efforts of President Klaus-Werner Iohannis, Prime Minister Ludovic Orban, Minister Lucian Bode as Minister of Transport, Infrastructure and Communication, and TTE Council, Romanian government central entity, as well as my colleague Alexandru Nazare, recently elected senator and appointed the Minister of Finance, and to all our colleagues from ITNC, infrastructure and government entities, our colleagues from CERT.ro, STS, Cyberint, etc. Romania has firmly positioned itself as on the map of Europe and the world. The proposal of a regulatory establishing the European Competence Center for Industrial, Technological and Research in Cybersecurity, as well as the network of National Coordination Center, was the most important legislative proposal for Romania in light of our country's candidacy for to host the competence center. The aim is to fuel the European technological and industrial cybersecurity ecosystem. The center will have a comprehensive activity that will support cybersecurity throughout the value chain, from research to support, implementation and widespread adoption of key technologies, and it will also provide assistance to member states and other relevant actors throughout through advice sharing, experience, and facilitating collaboration on projects and actions. The location in Romania of the headquarters of this center is particularly important for political and geostrategic visibility of our country, placing it in a position of regional and European leader in cybersecurity, but also a pole of technological expertise in security cybernetics at European and international level. It will contribute to the promotion of our country at a European and international level as a strong digital country with a competitive economy with exceptional prospects for increased investment in direct and related areas of cybersecurity, such as training and education in cybernetics, research, standardization, artificial intelligence, defense, innovation, cryptography, ITNC, security service, intrusion detection, or human and social aspects of security and privacy, etc. For me, it's particularly important to continue to improve and ensure national coordination on European work related to the development of 5G networks and the implementation of the EU toolkit for 5G network security. Following the line indicated by the Commission, Romania has already started in investing strategic capabilities that allow the development and use of large-scale digital solutions, interoperability of key digital infrastructures, expansion of 5G networks and future 6G networks, and innovative advanced technologies. The effort must be supported at national, regional, local level, involving public administration, academia, civil society, financial institutions, businesses, and social enterprises, but also European partners in accumulating investments in research and innovation, exchange of experience and good practices. While I Would like also to point out in this respect is the importance of digital transformation that will continue apace next year as organizations shift their focus from physical assets in favor of data-driven business model. The path to modernization is an important one, and business taking this journey will need to consider how each aspect of their business can be optimized to fulfill new growth potential and digital objectives. To succeed, these enterprises will need to set out a focused digital transformation strategy and keep abreast of developments in their field. Some key factors include the long-term impact of digitalization. Digitalization has already had a profound impact on the factory floor, and the number of jobs lost to automation over the past 30 years has now ticked over millions marked all over the world. However, as we move, the impact of digital transformation and automation on the global job market will start to shift. The most recent reports show a dramatic growth in the volumetric DDoS attacks and demonstrates how the Internet of Things is forever changing the threat landscape. Only a few years ago, 20% of the service providers reported attacks over 50 gigabits per second. Today, nearly one quarter or reported peaks attack size over the 100 gigabits per second. This illustrates the extent of the threat of such attacks, and without adequate security measures, we can only assume this trend will continue. In response, the number of jobs in the information security is going to see a significant spike. And on the factory floor, digital transformation and automation has been blamed for replacing workers. However, the need for an expansion in IT security demonstrates how in the future digital transformation and automation will actually be responsible for creating more jobs, and rather than simply taking away from the overall pool of positions. Since many of the jobs related to digital transformation and automation would require software programming skills, the true challenge will be training and education of the workforce. Another aspect to take into consideration would be the revised role of CIO. The role of CIO became increasingly important one. With their knowledge of company existing IT infrastructure and future demands, it will be down to CIOs to take the lead and manage a company's digital transformation strategy. Digital transformation is touching all aspects of business, and as a result of all enterprises will need to be aware that every system upgrade, connection, or native and third-party application added to the existing IT infrastructure on-premise or in cloud will increase service delivery complexity, scale, and operational risk. It is a situation that is not only going to create headaches for IT teams, but could also have serious implications for the successful running of a business. As such, CIOs of companies spanning the entire global market will be vital for the success or failure of a business or of a government. It will be down to the CIOs to manage the digital transformation, maintain a sense of order, and lay the foundation for the future. And it's definitely not going to be an easy ride. Another aspects to take into consideration would be the cost versus value of data. Barely a week goes by without reporting a hacking attempt, data leak, or network breach. But how much is a gigabyte of data worth to a private company or a public organization? How does this value ramp up as we start to talk about data in thousands of tens of thousands of gigabytes? Equally, as far as data loss is concerned, the volume of the data is secondary to data classification. If lost data is classified as highly confidential, then even the loss of small volumes could have devastating effects on the corporation and its leadership team. If all systems are running smoothly, the intrinsic value of this information that can be continuously collected and analyzed in the real time with existing technologies is significant when it comes to the consumer insights for a variety of the business departments. The potential costs from data loss, corrupted information, or security breaches, however, is much higher. The true value of data crossing the network could become apparent. The reality of the modern network environment highlights the importance of real-time visibility into global threat vectors and anomalies in order to identify costly threats. Business will increasingly start to recognize the risk versus reward ratio, and will place new emphasis on ensuring data is being protected in order to minimize the related cost to data loss while optimizing the value gain from the insight of its offer. I was talking back a few years ago about building up future-proof strategies and developing future studies, prospective studies, in order to prospect, in order to envision the developments and to create a preventive programs to better respond to the ongoing shifting in strategies, in technologies, in management skills. One other very important aspect is the business assurance, the lifeblood of digital transformation. It is clear that continuous deployment of new services onto IT, on-premises, and cloud-based infrastructure is what the digital economy depends on 24/7. Managing this digital transformation is highly strategic for businesses and IT leaders as a result, and risk mitigation and service performance are two of the most important transformational metrics. I was talking back few months ago about the EU developed a program, TiberEU, called TiberEU, that develops programs for planning for cyber security in finance and banking systems. Enterprises already recognize the increasing value of business insurance. Doing this the wrong way, relying on incoherent data or silo-specific tools, will cost companies a lot of money when they are faced with service disruptions, sometimes running into millions of dollars on an hour. On the flip side, business will also recognize how accelerating digital transformation and assuring a consistent service delivery relies on a real-time information platform that supports comprehensive IT visibility capable of producing unique insights into operations. I would like to point out another DevOps chaos theory, but the DevOps principles will start to have much greater impact for large enterprises, with the true value of this methodology being identified through a new approach. As development velocity increases and the scale of the enterprise also increases, these businesses will develop a much greater reliance on DevOps principles in order to rein the chaos associated with continuous development that is being spurred on by automation. In this environment, chaos will become a function of velocity and scale. Since most chaos will manifest itself in the production environments, it will become vital for any enterprise to identify the level of constraint placed upon the operation teams, helping to address what changes must be made and what technology must be introduced to prevent operations from becoming bottleneck to the continuous development cycle. Businesses will need to adapt and change to keep pace with the digital transformation affecting the global market. Workforce, infrastructure, and policy will all need to be reconsidered and adjusted to ensure enterprises don't miss out on the significant benefits that can be wrapped thanks to the new digital economy. It is also a question of culture, as the teams need to be completely comfortable with shifting between fail-safe and safe-to-fail scenarios, just what I've said before regarding the future-proof scenarios and strategies. The most important figure in this shift will be the CIO, as I already mentioned, and the most important strategy will be one based on developing comprehensive business assurance. Getting these things right and planning for the next year will help maintain business velocity throughout the digital transformation. One more issue that was mentioned for my keynote intervention for you today, and I'm once again thankful for the invitation and for exchanging views. I would like to have this exchange of views open and without these constraints regarding the online infrastructure. But here we are today. It's a first step in meeting and exchanging. The other point of vision was related to the development of smart and cities and communities. And I always point out this issue regarding smart communities, because for me, the smart development is linked to the community, is linked to the people, is linked to the main resource of our development, that's human beings and humankind. What is a smart city, and why do we need a strategy? Smart city means, in fact, to each individual community is a unique point of view. In general, smart city is a city or a region that can increase its competitiveness and quality of life efficiently, use resources, and support economic sustainability by using technology and creativity to rise the IQ of the built environment. Future is to prospect and to do this prospection ongoing. Further, it is a city that uses innovation to address the needs and desires of the community. It puts the citizens first and ultimately breaks down the barriers between agencies, departments, and between people and governments. That is what smart city is, in my opinion. Following these tips, we should start and build on a community down to the right path to achieving our operational goals and the benefits for our citizens. And all this vision will have the added benefit of positioning our city for additional private and public sector funding to maximize our investments and achieve the greatest benefits. One important issue would be the stakeholder benefits. A strategy with clear benefits attributed to individual stakeholders is a success factor that will be notable in the continuous feedback received from stakeholders, indicating the level of satisfaction or dissatisfaction of the smart city elements. Strategies that are developed based on real needs are more likely to have a measurable outcome. Another point to take into consideration would be the engagement and building. Engagement and building from city departments, regional stakeholders, residents, and businesses is critical for success. Engaging early and often sets the city apart as a leader, and engagement also aligns with a common pillar for smart cities, which we call the Citizen Connect. This overarching pillar is crucial in the success of the strategy, as it will inform the budgets and impact acceptance during implementation. Regional alignment with the community focus is another thing to take into consideration. A smart city strategy should reinforce linkage and collaboration with the regional as a whole. We developed such regional communities in the northwestern part of our country between several departments, and hats off for the mayors that took this initiative to a successful story. Businesses and residents, including travelers, do not see city borders and expect continuity of services. At the same time, a successful strategy is one that addresses and reflects the needs and vision of the local community, including being consumer-centric, focusing on enhancing the quality of life and providing a competitive advantage for businesses and attracting positive growth. I have to mention that recently, back a month ago, we launched and transposed in the Romanian legal framework the ISO 3710 standard for the quality of life for smart cities, and we took another 3 more ISO standards into transposing them in our legislation, and hats off for my team in this respect, and I thank them a lot. Another aspect is the strategy momentum and foundational initiatives. A good strategy should identify early wins, initiatives that can create a momentum. It should include foundational initiatives with clear implementation timescale. Some popular examples from previous work include the building out of dark light fiber optic network or development of corporate open data and security policy, along with the inventory of and development of internal cross departmental data standards. Another important aspect would be the clarity. Although information and communication technology is fast becoming a basic city infrastructure, a smart city strategy can be different from other basic infrastructure strategies because the initiative and benefits will not be as clear as a ribbon cutting for a new bridge, building, or a road. As a result, it is important for the strategy to include examples and outcomes that can be easily understood by residents and businesses. Thus, proving strategy, a smart city must strike a balance of providing appropriate level of detail to move the strategy forward, but also being a high level enough to provide a framework that remains relevant for and over time. Some cities are treating their smart city strategies as a living document, and that's so much true because we are talking about an organic development of the city, of the community, with high-level policies and frameworks that have supporting initiatives and projects that evolve over time. That's so natural to take into consideration. One other aspect, and that's what perhaps we are here today to discuss, about lessons learned. The development of a smart city strategy is a relative new idea, which has taken a number of different forms and approaches. Some are top-down, some are bottom-up approaches. While each city strategy will need to reflect its own goals, as well as its position within the region, it's also important to spend some time learning from what has been done and what has worked or not for other cities. And I'm here open to listen to your experiences. And thank you very much once again for putting me in the same framework as yours and welcoming me to this debate. Thank you once again. Another key aspect to take into consideration would be urban integration. Integration of technology within the public realm is an emerging trend in most cities globally, including an urban planning component with the smart city strategy is critical to improving the quality of life for citizens. I'm very fond of this idea of and putting this whole philosophy and idea at the core of the development of any city, meaning the quality of life, the well-being of citizens, HDI, Human Development Index. Those are the premises for a rightful smart city strategy. The performance indicators, yet they are at the core of this vision. Attributing success factors to the development and execution of a smart city strategy can be challenging and often qualitative in nature. While many of the specific initiatives will be quantifiable, the expected results may be less measurable, particularly if there is a limited current information to measure against. There are a number of different KPIs that have and are being developed by different organizations, including ISO, as I already mentioned, and ITU throughout the UN, determining the KPIs that are relevant to the individual city is an important discussion point, as this become the reporting mechanism over the time for both internal operation as well as the outward message to the residential and business community. Creating a lasting smart city culture, that is the top vision. In fact, that is the top vision for any manager. And one of the reasons that many cities invest time in developing smart city strategies is to optimize and integrate the implementation of information and communication technology within the organization. The process of developing the strategy is often the starting point for removal of barriers and silos that might exist. Open data policies development is also often the initiator of this discussion. While developing a strategy may seem like a large undertaking, our experience is that with the establishment of the right team that is focused on realizing results for the citizens, the process can bring significant benefits to any community. In order to drive the maximum benefit for our community, we should get started, take a chance, and be innovative, engage with the people, and let's be agile. Once again, congrats for organizing such an event. I'm honored to be part of this event, and let's keep in contact and exchange views regarding the development of our smart communities. Hats off, and I wish you all a great, prospective, fruitful year. I wish you all the best and health to your dear ones and your families and communities. We should help each other to reinvent ourselves out of the last year pandemic crisis, and to better prospect our collaboration and future results together. Thank you once again, and hats off for the organizers. This was Dragoș Preda from Romania, State Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Preda, for letting us know how Romania is transforming its capital and other cities into smart cities. Now it is time to look even further east. As most of you know, Japan is one of the most advanced countries in the development of smart societies. Surely it can be a good example to other countries around the world, including Europe. Mr. Yasunori Mochizuki, NAC Fellow at NAC Corporation, will outline how Japan's systematic approach to smart society came into fruition. Mr. Mochizuki, what did Japan do and how it is playing out?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Yasunori Mochizuki, and it's my great pleasure and honor to deliver this keynote today to share some insights from Japan. Our country is also putting an increasing intensity in moving towards smart society. First, let me introduce my background. I have been working on policy proposals for smart cities in Japan, advocating interoperability and openness as the crucial enabler, of course, under global harmonization. Pictured on the right, Japan hosted G20 Summit in June 2019, and the government also held a side event for Smart City. our consortium called COCN was asked to coordinate a global session, and I was very much pleased to invite Dr. Martin Brinskov, chair of OASC, and Mr. Mikko Rusama, chief digital officer of Helsinki City, to share some leading practices in Europe. I'm also a Smart City Fellow at World Economic Forum Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is a multi-stakeholder network on technology governance for global well-being. And in the smart city space, we have successfully launched a network called G20 Global Smart City Alliance in October 2019. And I'm also a board member of Fireware Foundation, and our global NEC team has been working for cities in Europe, Japan, and India. Of course, NEC is making technical contributions to Fireware, including API standardization. Now, let me explain Society 5.0. This is the innovation vision presented as the highlight of Japanese government's Science and Technology Basic Plan that was formulated in December 2016. It emphasized the realization of human-centric super smart society through innovation-driven growth of the economy and creation of new social community services. Cross-domain data utilization through data-centric platform is also defined as a crucial enabler of Society 5.0. Okay, that sounds cool, but let me ask, where does Japan stand now? Japan is a country facing mid and long-term societal challenges as listed here. And yes, there are lots of high-techs out there, such as drones, AIs, and robots. However, we're at the catching up position for digitalization. In the recent World Digital Competitiveness Assessment, Japan was ranked 27th out of the 63 countries studied. And the weaknesses pointed out were in agility in business transformation, regulatory framework, and talent resources that are largely of non-technical nature. Furthermore, citizens' lives are not under immediate threat, at least before the current pandemic situation. Even without relying heavily on digitalization, Japanese cities have achieved a safe environment, as you can see in this Safe City Index ranking. And such a situation turns out to bring a challenge in building a nationwide consensus or a sense of urgency for updating organizational culture and legal framework into what's needed for digital transformation. Now, very soon after the announcement of Society 5.0 vision, a project managed and funded by Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications started in 2017. Its name is Data Utilization Oriented ICT Smart Cities. This project was pioneering in the sense that it focuses on bringing the idea of digitalization into Japanese smart cities for the first time, and its target was defined to address region-specific challenges as well as regional economic vitalization. And the highlight of the approach is to apply AI and IoT and to harness data in a cross-domain manner by utilizing data federation platform. Also, a formation of regional multi-stakeholder organization was requested as a selection criteria. Up to now, there have been about 20 cities already awarded in Japan. But when this project started in 2017, there was no clear and shared guideline as to how to design and build such cross-domain data platform. This situation was later addressed by the reference architecture project that I will talk in a minute. Now here I want to share some outcome of this project. The city of Takamatsu, which is the capital of Kagawa Prefecture with some 400,000 population, implemented their common IoT platform using Fireware in order to enable cross-domain data sharing. At the same time, the city government also invited regional stakeholders and established Smart City Takamatsu Promotion Council. This council consists of several working groups, and each of them is defined according to prioritized regional challenges, such as disaster management, tourism stimulation, welfare of elderly people, and traffic safety. And as you can see at the top column, such a focused approach has proven to be quite successful in making a quick win, demonstrating either visible or quantitative outcomes. And it is really amazing to see that the member organizations or companies of Smart City Takamatsu Council, which was actually 6 when they started in 2018, has now increased to more than 80 as of September 2020. And there's something more. Last year, Takamatsu City, together with 2 neighboring municipalities called Kanwonji and Ayagawa, started to work on IoT-leveraged wide area disaster management. These municipalities are now operating a shared disaster management dashboard for real-time situation awareness and timely decision-making. The photograph in the middle shows the three mayors when they signed the agreement on the shared use of the IoT platform after developing some cost-sharing model. Such a collaboration, of course, enables a more comprehensive and precise understanding of disaster-related situations in real time. But let me also point out that many residents of Kanonji and Ayagawa, they commute to work in Takamatsu during daytime. And you know, what such commuters appreciate, of course, is the disaster management services provided beyond or across city boundaries. In Japan, there are rapidly increasing smart city projects. The actual number is 108 for 80 cities during the period from 2017 to 19. And the funding body also increased from 1 to 5 ministries and cabinet departments of the central government. Because of such a situation, the government is now also implementing some harmonization mechanism. These are cross-ministry coordination policy and shared reference architecture. And of course, along with such an enriching journey of smart city initiatives, the learning from Europe has been giving a big influence to Japan. That's something I illustrated in the lower half of this slide, summarizing how the people in Europe have reimagined smart society and developed relevant front-runner practices that are made through both institutional and technical approaches. In March 2019, the Japanese government announced how it will work on smart city under cross-ministry policy coordination in order to harmonize relevant projects that are to be managed by multiple ministries and cabinet departments. And here, the importance of architecture and global collaboration was also noted. The common basic policy announced at that time goes define a clear vision, build and utilize shared architecture, secure interoperability and scalability, and strengthen organizational framework. Actually, when we had the G20 summit in June 2019, Japan proposed to strengthen global collaboration on smart cities, which was then agreed by the G20 leaders and included in the summit's communique. Following this principle, Japan is in the process of sharing a reflection of early successful use cases, as well as the system design principles in the form of Japan's Smart City Reference Architecture. This was formulated and published as the deliverable of a government-funded project called SIP. And here, NEC played the leading coordinator role of the consortium. In brief, this architecture translates Japan's vision of Society 5.0 into smart cities with placing citizens at the top. There are several viewpoints that are then classified into two important building blocks. These are city management framework for sustainable partnership and business models, and the city OS as enabler of interoperability, data exchange, and scalability. There have been years of effort by smart city initiatives also in our country since around 2010, but these used to exist mostly fragmented, and such a situation has made it difficult for good practices to be shared, services to scale in a cross-domain manner, and make the community ready for changing issues over time. But with the smart city reference architecture that is to be shared nationwide, we expect now the data to become connected and start flowing, services to federate, thereby making regional communities as well as the entire society future-proof. Of course, the city OS part of this white paper emphasizes the global harmonization for interoperability and refers to the major overseas smart city architecture, including FireWare and synchronicity that leverages WASMIM's minimal interoperability mechanisms. The most recently, a project call named the Super City was announced last December by Cabinet Department of Regional Vitalization. This project leverages a legal framework called National Strategic Special Zones that provides a flexible deregulation opportunity within the zones. I have copied the selection criteria for this call that is available on their website and put red color to indicate what I think to be important. Besides requesting the strong commitment of the local government and private businesses, it also requests assignment of what they call architect, who is responsible for planning and coordination of the overall strategy of the city or region. Furthermore, assessment of citizens' opinion by local government prior to application is mandated, and each city's data federation platform is asked to comply with the interoperability as well as security management standard. So we can see that this call is focused on selecting cities with institutional excellence as well as with the commitment to develop collaborative relationship with citizens. Also, the call takes it as important to implement technical interoperability in order to enable lateral expansion of the project outcome to move forward from smart city to smart society. In preparation for the call, the department also worked intensively to further materialize the interoperability guideline based on the city OS part of the smart city reference architecture. In the project call, the requirements are also described for data federation platform. City data shall be made open and published via Open API, which is now mandated as the revised Act for National Strategic Special Zones. It also says that data exchange management should be based on decentralized or distributed system using data broker. And this is actually based on consideration to better secure data sovereignty. In parallel to the call for selecting the regions, the department also funded development of such platform in this fiscal year. And its work items include broker performance evaluation, as well as standardization of data models and APIs. Now, NEC again is participating in this project as a leading coordinator. So, now I summarize the present status of Japan's initiatives towards smart society. Project design and funding are actively done by multiple ministries of the central government, and these are coordinated under the harmonization principle. The early best practices and 2Bs are shared now nationwide in the form of Japan's Smart City Reference Architecture that deals with both technical and non-technical design aspects. Still, cities or regions are mostly in the piloting phase, whereas some early city-city collaboration also started. Now, what about our way forward? We are becoming increasingly aware that stepping up from the pilot phase to the real social implementation requires a set of self-sustaining mechanisms as a crucial driver. This includes a financial sustainability, scaling of stakeholder ecosystem, and trusted technology governance. And I can say that the design of the Super City project call that I explained is indeed trying to tackle these challenges. However, as of today, I don't believe that there is any straightforward theory or silver bullet that immediately answers these tough questions. The lower chart shows that what I think to be the clues to such self-sustaining city management. Along the course of digital transformation, new services should become federated and with holistic business model. And how this can be done critically owes to the citizen-centric problem-solving approach leading to visible outcome for the region. In order to do so, each community must focus on its region-specific challenges and opportunities, and that is enabled through the collaboration of regional stakeholders from government, business, academia, and citizens. So I stop here by saying that digital transformation of society is now becoming an even more urgent subject worldwide after seeing the COVID-19 pandemic. And I sincerely celebrate this Southeast Europe Smart Society Conference for being an invaluable and timely booster of future collaboration and knowledge share at a global scale. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mochizuki, for these words of wisdom. The next speaker in line comes from the European Commission, and most of you know him very well, as he is heading the unit that is closely looking into technologies for smart communities, Mr. Eddie Hartog. Mr. Hartog, your presentation is titled The Future of Living in the European Union. Would you be so kind and explain us how our future will look like and how the region of Southeast Europe will get there?
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be able to join you this morning in the second Southeast European Smart Society Conference, which is back-to-back with the City to City Festival that I hope we'll all be attending later on. My name is Eddie Hartog. I'm head of unit in the European Commission for Technologies for Smart Communities. And what I would like to do with you today is to briefly explain to you what we have done in DG Connect to start working with cities and communities. And I say from the outset, we don't only focus on the big cities, we also want to make sure that the smaller communities, villages can also join our initiative. And what I will do is maybe rather untypical. I will talk to you about a movement that actually does not come from the Commission, but it really comes from you, from your representative organizations. And the movement is called livingin.eu. And you see a reference to the various organizations below. And one of them is the OASC that will organize a city-to-city festival later on. And in the blue boxes on my presentation, you will see a number of words. And those are the words in your invitation. And I think the movement that we have started really fits with the invitation that you made. It is all about partnerships across all levels. Cities cannot do it on their own. Cities cannot do it on their own with the Commission. We also need the support and help and contribution from the member states and the regions. It's all about acceleration of the digital transformation. We all know the ideas, we've done all the research, we have all the technology. It is now about accelerating the investments. And one way of doing that is giving the money. That's creating, that is useful for the cities that we have. But it's also about creating the conditions for cities to actually thrive and do all of this. And I think all of that has become even more important in the era of the pandemic. So I think what I'm presenting this morning, it really fits very well with your conference. And I'm delighted actually that I can join you, not only the EU cities and regions, but also the ones outside in the southeast of Europe. Now, before I go into what this movement is about, I first want to give you the vision, and you see that it is not my vision. It has become my vision because of your vision, but it's really about how do you construct this. And often we find that we talk about, if you like, the output, the visible output, the apps that we use, and the things that your mayor can open and can showcase. But in order to do that, we collectively decided that it only works if you have all the layers in order. If you have the connectivity, if you don't have 4G, 5G, it's going to be very difficult to accelerate the digital transformation. If you don't have a shared system of data, we will not optimally benefit from the potential for digital. If you don't have the digital urban platforms, it's not going to work. And it's really on those digital urban platforms that the livingin.eu movement focuses. And once you have your house in order, you will be able to develop what we would like to call the city digital twins, but also all the smart and green services that your citizens need. And it's really that vision, I think, that we have shared with the OASC, Eurocities, and the European Network of Living Labs and various of the signatories that we have worked from. So from that vision, what we did is we said, well, how do we get there? And the analysis was basically, yes, we have worked together on large-scale pilots. We have invented a lot of new things. We have really established good partnerships and good cooperation between various cities, but it doesn't scale. In order to scale at the European level, you need two things. You need the technicians to actually work on the same thing and use similar technology, have the same specifications, etc., etc. But you also need the commitment from the political leaders. And as a movement, we decided to start from that political commitment, and hence we said maybe it's useful to have the mayor sign a declaration. That process started in Oulu in December 2018, and then we had a big meeting in Porto in January 2019, and then in 2020, still have to get used to the change of the year. In 2020, we had the big event in Porto, and we now have, it says 70 signatories, but in the meantime, we actually have about 85 signatories of that declaration at political level, meaning that they really have that commitment. What do they commit to? I mean, they don't sign their life away, but they sign what they sign is, yes, we have similar principles that we will apply. For example, to work from a citizen-centric approach, to work with ethical and socially responsible access based on, for example, the GDPR in the European Union. So those are really the commitments that we have made that we share in the European Union. In order then to implement it and pass the ball to the technicians, you need to do some work. And we've established 5 basically work streams. One is how to get the money, the financial one. The second is what specifications are we actually looking at? And I'm sure that if you join the City to City Festival, we will go much more into detail there on the minimum interoperability mechanisms. Do we need, and it's an open question, further European Union legal measures? How do we actually build the capacity in the cities to deliver this? And to be honest, it's something we often forget. How do we actually measure it? Because we do have a lot of statistics at national level about how digital we are. We don't have that sort of measurement at city level yet, and I think we need to work on that. So that is really what this movement tried to set up, and that is what we have jointly committed to do. So this brings me to the financial instrument that we have tried to make available as a European Union. I think you are all familiar with the sort of traditional instruments that we have in the direct funding. I think you've all worked with Horizon 2020 funding in the research. In the new period, starting the 1st of January 2021, we will now have Horizon Europe, which you know is a research program, but we have a new program as well, the Digital Europe program, which is really about the deployment activities that we would like to have in smart cities, focusing also on the urban digital twins. And that is really an instrument that within my unit we would like to use actively to engage with the cities to improve on this. You will then see in the third bullet something you know very well, which is the cohesion policy and structural funds. So I won't labor on that particular point, but I would like to spend a bit of time on the recovery and resilience facility, which is new, which is born by the pandemic, where we have said, even though we have a big setback now in the last year, we can maybe use this moment to accelerate some of the investments. And that's also why we asked that 20% of this money is spent on digital investments. I think it's a unique opportunity for you as cities to engage with your member states to ensure that the acceleration of the digital transformation at local level is actually going to be part of the plan. So I can only encourage you to go to your member states, talk to them about it, and I think the money is there. What you need to do now is to act and engage with them. It brings me to a last point. The Living in .eu movement is, for good reasons, a movement of the European Union, of the cities of the European Union. One is because we are a political union, we are one family, if you like, and that has its consequences, and the cities have decided to all do this together. And also the instruments that we deploy, the one I just mentioned, for example, the Recovery and Resilience Facility applies to European Union member states. So it's just neater to do it in this manner, even though the Horizon and DEP programs, we will have separate negotiations for third country access to them. But the point is different. The point is that this movement, even though it is being born and started in the European Union, is also getting global traction. It's also for other countries outside the European Union. And I've been, just before Christmas, I've virtually been in Istanbul with the Turkish Living Labs, also to make that same point. It is a vision that we can develop together. It's a global vision. I think in the southeast of Europe, you have a unique opportunity, but also a unique way of collaborating together that is already going on for years. So it really would like you also to join that movement, and we've opened in the website a possibility not only to sign as EU mayors, which is one option, but also to have sponsors in, and that would mean that you are committed to the same thing, and we will start working with you as well. So all that I can ask you to do and encourage you to do is to go to that website, look a little bit deeper, and then convince your mayors, your ministers at national and regional level to also sign that declaration and join us in the movement that will be one of the big movements working with the cities and not only for the cities. And as a European Commission official, I'm very encouraged by this sort of bottom-up work that we can do together, and where it's not the Commission sort of downloading things on cities or having a centrally led instrument, but it's really an effort that we have started together, that we developed together, and that we can finish together. So that's my appeal for you today. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Now we know how to get some funding for smart cities and communities projects. What is left is to pick the right tools for the job. Job being the digital transformation journey, of course. Our next speaker, Mr. Ulrich Hahle, CEO of the FIWARE Foundation from Berlin, will tell us more about how standards and technologies developed by the FIWARE ecosystem, together with its partners, are helping cities and society all around the world.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on the world, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for dialing in. I'm planning to talk today about FIWARE successes in smart cities and smart societies, and thank you for inviting me to this conference today. Our new digital life will gravitate around a concept which is called digital twin, using context information describing what is happening, where, when, and why. Here as an example of the city of Berlin. But very often this information are organized in silos, in the smart city, in energy, in transportation, in industry, organized in silos because interfaces don't fit to each other, data models don't fit to each other, or there are limitations of organizations who do not like or who do not trust to share data and to provide this data on platforms to, on the one side, reduce the cost of operating an organization, of operating a city, and on the other hand, to improve the quality of life of people living in the city. And our mission at FIWARE is to break down the silos, to make data available on platforms for smart solutions in smart societies. What is FIWARE? It is open source, so it is a framework of open source software components to access this context information and to analyze and visualize them. And one of the major standardization achievements in the FIWARE ecosystem is FIWARE NGSI. This is the standard interface. It is the standard API called NGSI, Next Generation Service Interface. And out of the before mentioned software building blocks, the FIWARE Context Broker is the most important one. On the left side, you can see the a simplified architecture of a FIWARE-based solution with a context broker in the center, southbound or at the bottom interfaces to get access to the data, and northbound or on top, software building blocks and functionalities to process, analyze, and visualize data. This architecture shows the smart city reference architecture in a more detail. Again, the context broker in the center, NGSI-based agents to get access to the data coming from sensors, from IoT networks, from cameras, from drones, from other IT systems, from social media and social networks, or first smart solutions installed in the city. And on top, then we have all the functionalities, including artificial intelligence, including workflow management, including georeferencing to analyze, visualize, and publish this data. And as I mentioned, some major achievements over the last years out of the FIWARE ecosystem, this core component we just learned about, the context broker, has been elected by all European member states to become a standard building block. It is a so-called CEF building block, Connecting Europe Facility, now recommended by the European Commission to the member states to be used when creating digital solutions. And on the right side, NGSI, which I introduced before, has been standardized 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, by ETSI, which is one of the 3 main European standardization organizations, to be the standard for context information management in smart cities. So it is now the standard API for smart cities. And finally, in the center, also 2 years ago, we started together with TM Forum and also in partnership with OASC, a program called the Frontrunner Smart Cities Program, defining common data models. It is a very end-user driven initiative. You see here at the bottom, the 12 initial cities who joined us 2 years ago from Europe, but also La Plata from Argentina and Montevideo from Uruguay, to define common data models. So which data and attributes are used in a smart parking solution, in a smart waste management solution, in a smart lighting solution, and so on. And all these data models are provided on GitHub. And with these elements, we are implementing the minimal interoperability mechanisms which were introduced by the Open and Agile Smart Cities organization already some time ago. And NGSI is implementing the MIM #1. And with this standard data models approach, we are working on the MIM #2, which is standard data models. And all these standard data models on GitHub, there's a separate section called Smart Data Models. So it's not just Fiverr, it's also other organizations who are contributing. And we are also reusing well-established de facto standards, like SHAREF, for example, from the energy sector. And this helps us and the cities and societies to really become digital. And several cities already have implemented first digital solutions. You can see them here on the left, but very often they are organized as silos or organized in silos. And therefore there is still a way to go. And this graph describes the way to go. To break down the silos by defining and adopting a standard API. NGSI is a very good candidate for this. And in the next step, to agree also on standard data models to be used to make replicability of solutions much easier. In a third step, not only providing historical and static data, but something we call right time data. We don't need always real-time data, but the right data in the right moment in time. That's our approach here. And once a society has been able to create such a smart city platform, to provide this platform also to other partners in the city, to companies, to organizations, and enable them to share their data using this common platform. And with this, enabling the data economy. And again, on this digital transformation journey, we are implementing and using different MIMs from OASC. The first one, as I mentioned before, standard APIs, MIM1. Second, standard data models, MIM2. And third one is the implementation of data marketplaces, functionalities to share data, which is equivalent to MIM3. But let me give you now some examples how this works. And there are a lot of solutions in the meantime, more than 170 different offerings on the Fiverr marketplace. There is roughly a dozen of Fiverr-based platforms and more than 150 Fiverr-based solutions. All fit together like Lego stones because all are using the same API, supporting the same data models, using the same technology. Some examples from here. Two examples for Fiverr-based platforms, smart city platforms. or smart industry platforms, as Fiverr is not only used in the area of cities and societies. One is called Digital Enabler, coming from engineering, from Italy, or another example, as we heard in this conference before, Yasunori Mochizuki from NEC. They also have a Fiverr-based platform called the Cloud City Operations Center. And there are roughly a dozen more of such platforms. But more interesting, even more interesting, than are the applications based on these platforms. And to start with, one example is here the city of Eindhoven, which had a problem in the past with one street, a lot of alcohol, high crime rate. You can see here the street, 1 kilometer long, 55 bars, 20,000 visitors. And what they did to manage these problems is they installed cameras, analyzing the moving patterns of the people, installing microphones, doing sound analytics. All is GDPR compliant, so there's no speech recognition, no face recognition, no personal information. But talking about the microphone, it is measuring the loudness, the aggressivity level of the speech. And the third one, publicly published information in Facebook, in Twitter, with relation to the street. And by combining this data and information, using artificial intelligence, the system is able to provide predictive services to the police, to predict that in a given position in this street, it will become critical in 3 minutes. And the police officer is now able to either send proactively police people to this place or to increase the level of light in that part of the street. Philips is also a partner here. Eindhoven is a headquarter of Philips. And in more than 80% of the cases, it is sufficient to increase the level of light to reduce, to de-escalate an upcoming critical situation. And it is proven that the crime rate was reduced by more than 50%. The damages in the bars are reduced, less transportations to hospital. Another example of a region which was able to create a platform not only for one city, but for all the cities within the region is from the province of Badajoz in Spain. They created a platform using, in that case, the Fiverr-based solution from Telefonica called Thinking Cities, have 29 different smart solutions on top, all using the same data models, supporting the same APIs. And they can be selected by the different cities in the region. And the system is reporting standard KPIs, providing an open data portal, and providing executive dashboards for the political decision makers to allow them to do educated and fact-based decisions. Another example outside of Europe, from Montevideo in Uruguay, they installed a lot of sensors in the city, providing a real-time flood warning system. That's standard. More interesting is the next phase, which is still in the projecting phase. They are using this sensor data, plus soil hydrological and meteorological models, plus so-called what they call hyperlocal data from the citizen apps, again using artificial intelligence to provide a prediction model and to send pre-customized individual warnings to the citizens, to their apps, which are learning, for example, where have I parked my car, to avoid situations like this shown in the picture here. And I get a warning with 90% probability within 20 minutes time, there will be 1 meter of water at the place where your car is parked. So better remove it. And the final one, the final example, where Fiverr technology has been used to fight against the COVID virus is initially from Italy. It's again from engineering. They used their digital enabler, created the digital enabler for BIOS, collecting now all COVID-19 relevant data, test results from the doctors, information from hospitals, also personal information of infected people, and providing all this data, this collected data in real time to the politicians, to general practitioners, to doctors, to operators of healthcare organizations, and also to crisis units to allow them to do educated guesses. This was developed initially together with the city of the region of Venezia, so the region around Venice, after a design workshop already done end of February of last year, so at the very beginning, and the first version of this solution was implemented within 5 days and productive. Now, it's an impressive example how this technology can help to fight against COVID-19. So in general, more than 200 cities around the world are creating their smart cities based on 5R technology and 5R standards. A lot of them are also OS members, and we are in a close partnership between the 5R ecosystem and the Open and Agile Smart Cities organization. And finally, why are all these cities going this ways and implementing their strategies based on 5R solutions and open standards? The basic software is for free. There's a large community of open source developers maintaining and further developing the technology. A large group of startups and global corporates are providing solutions based on this. And in combination, it is the lowest cost of ownership for the end users. And finally, and maybe most important, by using standard APIs, standard data models, the so-called vendor lock-in effect is avoided. And this is 5R, the open source platform technology for our smart digital future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ale. Now it is time to exchange a global lens with the local one. The next panel will be all about developing smart society in Slovenia. Firstly, we will look into methods for accelerating smart society development based on data and service connectivity. These will be presented by Yuri Dovžan from the Ministry of Public Administration and Gabor Terseglau from the Slovenian Digital Coalition. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Thank you for the invitation. At first, I would like to thank the European Commission and especially Loredana Alfredo, head of the Advanced Technologies team at the DG Growth, who started strategic approach around smart cities in 2016. As a result of the strategic group on the European level, the initiative around smart cities started, and the blueprint for cities and regions as a launch for digital transformation document was published. This document impacted Slovenian approach to digitalization of cities and communities a lot. EU Commission prepared supporting mechanism, Intelligent Cities Challenge, where Slovenian local communities got 2 consulting projects to prepare digital strategies. I am strongly convinced that with these projects, Slovenian municipalities will bridge the gap in the lack of knowledge and prepare ambitious visions for our cities and communities. In the last 3 years, at the Ministry of Public Administration, we have intensive discussion with stakeholders how to find the best approach to support public objectives, foster Slovenian IT economy, and cover all the needs of the Slovenian municipalities. This goal is always in front of us. We listen and searching for a solution that would fit all the needs. I can say that a common agreement is in implementing 5R building block, Context Broker, as a mechanism to transfer data between local solutions and public data lake on the national level. With this approach, we fulfill the first level of OASCs, minimal interoperability mechanisms. Our goal is to foster opening data of Slovenian municipalities. Today, we already have a portal of public open data, which is working very well on the national level. With this process of digitization on the local communities, which will be very intensive in the next few years, we would like to address opening not just databases in municipalities, but also IoT data on the local level. We need a common approach. The idea is that In the long term, Slovenia will open IoT data from all the municipalities gathered on the national level. Slovenian IT industry will, on the top of that data, build new services and solutions. Common approach needed harmonized data models that allow interoperability of applications and systems between different cities. Chamber of Commerce, ICT Innovation Network, on the initiative of Ministry, established a central national repository on data and metadata models and code lists in the field of the Internet of Things. With this step, we are going to fulfill the second level of the minimal interoperability roadmap. Existing solutions are very diverse. There are no interconnections between them. We want to connect silo solutions on a high level to make cities smarter. Now we are in a preparation of cooperation agreement between Ministry of Public Administration and Chamber of Commerce, how to manage central repository of data models. In the upcoming instruments from Ministry of Public Administration, we will set precondition to use minimal interoperability mechanisms on top to get public funding. And at the end, market of services is going to establish to combine different services on a standardized way and building value chains. Our goal is that municipalities get the best solutions, which are from the start interoperable, not only on the national level, but on the broader level. And the Slovenia IT companies offer solutions on the international level. Our work is focused on research, on results which will be benefit to all the stakeholders.
Hello, my name is Gabor Terseglau, and today I will present to you technical aspects of data and service connectivity in smart cities and smart society. When we look at the interoperability of data and services, it is for sure a really complex subject. We are talking about two types of the interoperability. On one side, we have syntactic interoperability, which basically represents interoperability of programming interfaces. And then we have semantic interoperability, which represents interoperability of data standards. To achieve wanted data and service connectivity, all stakeholders and initiatives need to work hand in hand. Smart society initiatives need to build building blocks, for example, context broker. They need to set up correct environment. They need to provide and construct data models. Here we have OWASP, FIWARE, TMF, and other organizations. Then we have financing schemes. They're really important because they provide funding for the projects of smart society. Here we have RRF, Recovery and Resilience Fund, Digital Europe Program, Connecting Europe Facility 2, Invest EU, and other funds. With these funds, we can build reference projects. Here in the past, we had Synchronicity, Connected Citizen, Espresso, and other pilot projects. Only then do we get to standards and specifications. When we talk about FIWARE data models, NGSI version 2 or later version, NGSI link data, and also Open API from TMF. And on the top, we have standardization organizations, which basically handle the internationalization of standards. With all this effort combined, we can build the connectivity of data and services. When we talk about interoperability, really important building block for this are OWASP minimal interoperability mechanisms. OWASP means basically support interoperability on syntactical and on semantical level using different levels. On the first level, we are talking about interoperability of we are talking about interoperability of syntactic APIs. Here we use NGSI version 2 and NGSI link data. On the level OWASP MIM level 2, we are talking about semantic interoperability of context information. Here we use Fiverr smart data models and partner data models. And on OWASP MIM L3, we are talking about semantic interoperability of business level data models. Here we can use TMF Open API. If you look at the goal of the smart city architecture, we are trying to connect end user applications on one side with IoT devices and other end user applications on the other side through the context information layer, which is represented with Fiverr component context broker. The question remains how we can connect OWASP MIMs to this architecture. We will try to show this by using Fiverr Smart City architecture displayed on the picture. We can see that OWASP MIM L1 level is presented with context broker, which sits in the center of the architecture. OWASP MIM L2 level is supported with interoperability layer between context broker and end user applications or IoT devices. And finally, we have OWASP MIM L3 support, which is basically supported with business ecosystem component. I talked previously about reference projects in the EU. They all support OWASP MIM L2, and this should also be really good starting point for Slovenia. But we need to look ahead. So in the future, we need to think about supporting OWASP MIM L3 interoperability. Only with this can we give future development of smart society a boost. ICT Horizontal Network created data model repository that supports semantic data interoperability and governance of data models. It enables submission of new models, upgrade of the existing models, and also synchronization with international data models. We can view on this repository on the different levels. On the top repo level, we talk about umbrella over other domains, data models, and objects. If you look at the second level domain, here we have supported domains for the interoperability. For example, smart energy, smart city, e-government. The third level, data model level, represents data models for each of these domains. For example, for smart city domain, we could have smart parking, urban mobility, and so on. And the last, final level is data object level. Here we can find individual entities. For example, for smart parking, we would have parking spot, parking group, and also others. It is really important to understand that each of these data objects needs to be managed. And what we have decided is to share this responsibility between ICT Horizontal Network and other external data providers. So currently we can see that some of the objects can be managed by the ICT HN team, and others could be managed by Fiverr data models. Currently, we support Fiverr data models, but in the future, we will support also other data model providers. Let us look at the example. If one vendor would like to add a new data object, for example, parking spot. First thing he would have to do is to check the existing repository if such object already exists. And then we can see two options. The first is that the object is found, and the second, that there is no such object in the repository. In the first option, we have two variations. Or either this object is already activated in the repository and ready to use, or it can also only reside in the external repository of our data model partner. In this case, vendor would have to execute flow for new external data object activation. And if we look at the other case, meaning submit new data object, and this means that object was not found and vendor should trigger new process, submit new data object in the system. This process is comprised of 3 phases: incubate, harmonize, and publish. At the end, when confirmed and activated project would be added to the repository, it would be ready to use for all other projects. Now I will show you a few pictures from ICT-HN data model repository. First, we can see this top level view where we can see incubation data models and harmonization data models. Here we will have different data models in the phase of incubation when they will be basically submitted and later harmonized with the team and the expert group. Then we can also see domain view and example of one demo domain for smart city. And as displayed before, this domain could have 2 different data models: data model smart mobility and data model smart parking. On this picture, we can see the details of the domain smart city and the listed data models that belong to this domain. For sure, every domain can be accessible using link and to see the details. And for example, if now we click on this smart parking domain, we can see data model smart parking with individual data objects. Here we have parking group data object and parking spot data objects. As we talked previously, these objects could be also managed by external partners, and currently these 2 examples are managed by Fiverr Smart Data Models. And here is also a link to the detailed specification. With this, I would conclude my presentation. Thank you.
I knew it. Everybody needs quality data in order to get some good results. And as I can see, we also have a question from the audience as well. It is addressed to Mr. Dojan and goes like this. Can you tell us when the public tender for co-financing projects in the field of smart cities and communities in Slovenia will be published? Mr. Dojan?
Thank you for the question. The public call will be published, I hope, at the end of this week or at least at the end of the next week. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. Next up is Tine Radinja, Mayor of Škofja Loka Municipality and the Chairman of Commission for Digital Transformation at Association of Municipalities and Towns of Slovenia. He will tell us more about the work that goes on the local level. Mr. Radinja, please continue.
Hello and warm welcome from the municipality of Škofja Loka. For those who might not know, it's a middle-sized town of 24,000 inhabitants, a little northwest of Ljubljana. My name is Tine Radinja. I'm a mayor of the town and I'm presiding the Committee of Digital Transformance in the Association of the Slovenian Municipalities and Towns. Therefore, I would like to shortly address you on the second Southeast Europe Smart Society Conference regarding the challenges that local communities in Slovenia are facing in digital transition. Within the Association of Municipalities, where we represent very different municipalities, from the bigger ones to the smallest ones, we have had many discussions, roundtables. We were looking into more in-depth data on the digitalization of Slovenian municipalities with a review of what was already done, what is still ongoing, and how do we, as leaders of the municipalities, tackles the questions of digitalizations, smart societies, smart towns, and everything that comes with it. What we found out was that our starting points on this journey of digitalization is very different. That we have municipalities that are already developing their IoT systems, their communicating with municipality members on different platforms. They are using different ways of presenting the data that they are collecting as municipalities towards citizens, and they're asking for the feedbacks. And then we have others that are still striving with basic infrastructure, mostly with or better connections with the internet and local digital hubs that would even enable them to think about the next level and next steps. We started on a journey that would support all of them, those the best suited to go on the path of digitalization, and also those who are just starting the path. I will shortly introduce you the results of our survey on what are the most interesting areas of digitalization in Slovenia for the municipalities on the end of presentation. I would like to start on a more political declaration, what we agreed upon on our association and the second association of municipalities in Slovenia to join in a joint statement regarding the digitalizations trends in Slovenia, what are our expectations towards it, and what we are calling upon. We both agreed, and it means that more than 200 municipalities in Slovenia agreed that we are striving for a non-discriminatory approach towards the digitalization of local societies that would go into an open and fair digital habitat for our citizens, that we would support and go forward with the open code platforms, and that we would like to invest into the products and solutions that are open to all municipalities, no matter who started with developing it. More than less, we would like a multi or interoperability in terms that our solutions, if they are coming from a particular field, let's say environment, that they can be used also on different platforms that other municipalities are developing for other sense. And therefore, we were calling upon government, calling upon state administration for support on digitalization, to really put a priority on digitalization, to support us with public political mechanisms, including the financial means that would enable municipalities to really charge into digitalization. We were calling upon it to have an overarching strategy that would go down from a national level to the municipality level and have digital solutions in line with that kind of strategy. We were calling upon digital infrastructure that would even enable us to start about thinking about real smart cities and local e-governance. And all that in their statement was also including the needs of citizens, of members of our municipalities and companies, and our expectations towards companies. I believe that the main point of our joint statement was that there are many municipalities that are ready to really work in cooperation with different stakeholders and are ready to go into a next development phase that will then bring a real digitalization of our towns and municipalities. I would like to continue a bit with my own personal view on how the digitalization is ongoing and how do we reach our goal to have a smart society, which is also in the title of this conference. How do we reach and have a smart city that is not only bragging about being a smart city, but really being a smart city? And I believe that many times we need to foster a bit different approach toward municipality change in the digitalization. I believe that a progressive municipality, a progressive smart city or a town must really start with the people and human capital side of the equation, rather than just believing that the IT itself will automatically transform and improve our municipalities. It's something what Robert Holland says, that That's part of the equation. It's much more important than just the technological part. And the technological part, in some aspect or other, we can easily buy on the market. We can ask for it to be developed. But to be a smart city, it's much more than just a network city. It's much more than just an information city. It's much more even than a digital city. It's a city of acknowledgement. It's a city of learning. It's also a city where the smart community meets and communicates. And this brings me to another topic that I'm really fond of. It's a topic of active participation through the digitalization and through digital tools nowadays, as that's the topic that we are discussing, but also participation in general. As I believe that the data that we are collecting, the influences and the different views that we are gathering through many, many tools, through the apps that we are developing for the communication with our members of the municipality. All this, without the proper feedback, without the proper means to cooperate, to be heard, to build something upon it, it's a bit wasted opportunity. And that we can, to some extent, control traffic very well. We can control some environmental parameters very well. But our main job as mayors, at least in my opinion, is to really approach the people and try to understand their needs and have as good two-way communication as it's possible regarding all these same topics: traffic, environment, well-being, what's going on in our towns and cities. And a digitalization that will provide us those solutions will be, at least in my opinion, the digitalization that will go into a really smart city solutions, if you want to call it smart city or smart towns 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, I don't know anymore. I just know that that kind of digitalization is what we are also foreseeing, what we are basing our strategy upon in Škofja Loka, as we were over last years investing quite a lot of our time and resources into different areas of digitalization. But now it's really the time to bring this together in a common platform that will enable us so much more in terms of cooperation and participation. I have promised you before that I would like to speak a bit more about the areas in which the Slovenian municipalities are interested in when we are talking about digitalization. There are so many different realities in which our municipalities are working. Their needs and their focuses are very different, but when we talk about digitalization, they are more or less the same working areas that come that afloat. And a lot of them is focusing the digital, or is focusing on the digital solutions that are providing some kind of social progress or social care, maybe a most outstanding one was the care for elderly. There is different kind of solutions that were proposed during this workshop, but taking care of elderly with the support of digital solutions was one of the areas that's very interesting. The other one, which another big group of municipalities were bringing on, is the digitalization on the areas of tourism, from the cycling tourism to virtual museums, virtual town guides. A lot of platforms were proposed where there would be like inter-exchange of different offers and so on. And there are a lot that goes with the culture, sport, also support for the municipalities on the area of tourism, how to better govern tourism and tourism influx, and so many on and on. Then a second, or this is a third one, I'm sorry. A third one would be on the area of infrastructure, on the infrastructure within the city, as a smart benches, smart charging stations for bikes, cars, phones, whatever. but an infrastructure that is smart in terms that it's interconnected, it's available, it communicates with visitors, it communicates with municipalities, and so on. Mobility, and maybe a second most popular topic when we talk about the digitalization within the Slovenian municipalities, green mobility, but also co-sharing, sharing, renting, joint digital pass, and so on. Also, we didn't need the school transport, also a very interesting topic that many municipalities would like to see as solutions within their process of digitalization. Then it's, of course, I believe that a lot of bigger municipalities were asking for a common platform, which would be a platform for different solutions, and where you would find all the data already diluted, already presented, where you'll be able to really communicate on different topics, on different issues with the municipality members. One that goes very close by is digital identity for the municipality members, where through the digital identity would go everything that you do within the municipality. It would be very easy and enabling, and so on. The participatory practices I have already mentioned. I have already shared my passion for it. One particular solution that many municipalities were mentioning within the opportunities for the digitalization is participatory budget, a special participatory tool within which you also increase the participation of your citizens, and so on, all the way to the environment, measuring of the air quality, measuring of the water quality, different projects on the field of energy, and all this together, all these different areas on which municipality would like to work with are the basis of our, let's say, common grounds in work, research, looking for partners, looking for the ideas, looking for the tenders that will enable that. As I started my presentation, that the municipalities in Slovenia are very different and their development level on the area of digitalization is very different. But these are the areas that more or less all of us feels that we need to push forward, that we need to now find opportunities to progress for the benefit of our citizens. I hope that it was interesting. Thank you so very much.
And I'm back as we have some more interesting news to share with you. The next speakers will enlighten us that data needs not just platforms and frameworks, but also knowledge what to do with it. Ms. Sabina Popit, Senior Consultant at Municipality of Ljubljana, and Mr. Matjaž Pušnik, Director of Management Consulting at KPMG, will tell us more about the role of consultants when it comes to smart communities projects. Ms. Popit and Mr. Pušnik, what do municipalities usually want to know first?
Greetings to all participants from my side. I'm Matjaž Pušnik, Director at KPMG Consulting, and I'm lead expert from ICC Consortium Ljubljana in Slovenia. Today, I will present European Commission Intelligent Cities Challenge, in short ICC. I will present what is ICC and what does ICC set out to achieve. The ICC is tailored support program of coaching, facilitation, and inspiration launched by European Commission. In the ICC program, we bring together a community of cities with untapped potential, clear aspiration, and strong commitment to grow. Through the use of digital and advanced technologies, cities will transform their performance, providing a higher quality of life for citizens and improving the competitive environment of business. Cities are participating in a series of high-level events where they are receiving trainings as a group, learn from peers, and plan together for large-scale change. Individual cities receive in-city advice on how to motivate an ecosystem, define a strategy, and set a measurable action plan. Along the way, world-class EU and international cities inspire and orchestrate this change. At the end, finally, cities get exposure to state-of-the-art of intelligent city solutions, engaged with impactful digital tools, facilitating citizens and stakeholders engagement and on-demand access to the different materials. Cities are supported to become an intelligent cities of the future today. We are providing support through the whole lifetime of the ICC, guiding city involvement and helping participants to organize their efforts and meet their objectives. ICC journey has a great potential for all involved, but ultimately cities get out what they put in. Cities are committed to actions, share success and failures openly with other peers, and receive supports whenever they need. What is the context of the ICC? Cities shape of the future EU. 72% of the EU citizens live in urban areas, and their ecosystems are powerful actors of the change. 50% of the reductions necessary for net zero emissions can be achieved at the city level. Effective technologies are offering solutions to challenges like this. There are emerging world leaders in innovative technologies and their business models, both in the EU and abroad. Others can profit from their share of the knowledge. The ICC aims to bring cities together to drive the use of advanced technology. The 100 Intelligent Cities Challenge, ICC, unites EU cities in seizing the opportunity for green, smart, sustainable growth, improving the quality of life, and fostering new opportunities for the citizens. More than 100 cities has gained expert consultants support on the ground, facilitated sessions at several high-profile multi-city events, and a suite of online tools. In addition, they benefit from the steering of the cutting-edge mentor cities who help small groups of participant cities scale solutions together. The ICC is part of the wider EU support contribution to the European Green Deal, an economy that works for people and the Europe fit to the digital age. In ICC program participate core cities which are from the whole EU. Some has already been participating in the preceding Digital Cities Challenge program or initiative. Others are new. Mentor cities and international mentors are providing mentor support and experts in selected teams. International core cities support the whole ecosystem with the best practice and can be benchmarked with other cities. The transformation of the ICC journey is set by objectives. These objectives are connected to prepare the cities for the transformation, where cities are can review and refine current strategies involving stakeholder setups. The support for the cities is to create the impact with the quick win projects, which are in short terms, measurable and will improve cities' digital transformation. At the end, the community, which is all around city, can have an impact not only locally but can be part of the international network of the innovation and collaboration. Now I will give the word to Sabina Popit, and she will present you what the participants from the Slovenia are working on and what are the objectives. Please, Sabina.
Hello, my name is Sabina Popit and I come from the city of Ljubljana, but today I'm representing and sending greetings from many cities of Slovenia that have joined a different consortium in the ICC Challenge. One consortium is established between 11 urban municipalities. City of Ljubljana is the leading city, and we call us ICC CIMOS as ICC of Sustainable and Innovative Municipality of Slovenia. Second consortium in the ICC Challenge is established under the motivation of Association of Municipality of Towns of Slovenia, and it's bringing on board 12 different municipalities from rural areas of Slovenia. And the third, at the moment, standing alone, is municipality of Idrija that started this ICC Challenge alone, but very soon after the ICC project started in September, we have gathered together and found out that we have several challenges and goals that are common to all of the three consortiums. So we are actually sharing stakeholders from our ecosystems, the Ministry of Public Affairs, whole national academia, researchers and industry partners, also partners from local industry and technological park, digital innovation hubs and startups. We share a common approach that we are going to work with citizens' engagement and cooperation with citizens, and that our approach is citizen-centric. So we also share many common challenges and goals. Going on with more detailed look to our common challenges. In the first, we have to stress the recognized medium and low growth of digital interaction between citizens, businesses, and public administration, also at the national governance, but especially at the local administration level. I think it's okay to mention once again, and at this place as well, that COVID conditions and measures have particularly highlighted that digital underdevelopment of the local administration. I'm sorry. So second challenge that we recognized as a common is that each of our city or town or a small village has very unique, great, but standing alone, isolated solutions. So all our digital solutions are rather fragmented, not connected, mostly done through the EU co-financed pilot project. We all can assure that there is a huge lack of knowledge and competences within the staff at the municipal administration. There is a lack of systematic financial resources to do any rapid advancement in digital transformation, that we lack of a digital transitional strategies and actionable plan. So also looking out of the only digital transformation issues, we also have very poorly developed kind of modern way of monitoring various aspects of our sustainable development or measures that we have implemented already at the local level. So last but not least, there is also varying degrees of political support for the digital transition between the municipalities. So consequently, there is visible differences in digital development between the municipality, but we have to be aware that people are moving, they are commuting, so we have to somehow bring that to narrow that gap in different level of digital maturity. So logically, our goals we set together, and the first is, of course, to improve and strongly improve our e-government and digital maturity of public administration and all our services that we are providing to our citizens. Therefore, we find out that it's necessary to or to upskill, as well as motivate, especially employees in public administration, to go with positive attitude towards digital transition, as well as not to forget to the citizens to raise their digital competencies. The last common goal we recognized is that it's necessary to build a kind of comprehensive platform and ecosystem of stakeholders. Have to understand that as a network of all important players and entities within this ecosystem, where on one hand, employees from the municipality, developers, services providers, and also decision makers can connect and transfer know-how, knowledge, experiences, also share their needs, good examples, bad examples, so that this knowledge and know-how growth is somehow faster. So the activities were then divided again between those three consortiums, and the urban municipalities. We have decided to overtake the hardest infrastructure part to discuss the concept as well as the implementation action plan on urban digital platforms. We have decided to do it modularly, of course, open, to be interoperable, and to be taken as a backbone for further shared or any individual vertical solutions that will come up in any other town or between us. So the municipality, the Association of Municipality with 12 rural municipalities, they will look for the smaller solutions to answer the needs they recognize in the rural area. And beside that, they will look for the optimal business model so that the solutions are sustainable and can be successfully maintained and upgraded after the implementation. And together with the professional support from the stakeholders ecosystem, IDRIA is in charge to take care of appropriate standard to think for us, for all three consortiums, to ensure that all the technological solutions will be interoperable and as well as nationally, also internationally. So we would like to, through this synergy, share the solution. We want to make a digital transformation faster and integrate, and we would like to be integrated into all segments of the sustainable society. We also would like to avoid kind of duplication of development, closed solutions, and too expensive maintenance later. Therefore, we would like to be engaged in co-creation from the very beginning and share our experience as well as share the solutions to give our citizens nicer, greener, and more sustainable environment. Thank you.
See, knowledge is power, and a good advice is worth a lot. But my head is still wrapped around data. As our next speaker, Mr. Boris Koprivnikar from Municipality of Ljubljana will tell us, interoperable data makes a city smart. Mr. Koprivnikar, how is this true for Slovenian capital city Ljubljana? What data are you capturing and what are you doing with it?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to the conference about smart societies. I'm really glad that I can share a few of my thoughts with you because in my career, I was always dealing with the public institutions, associations, leading ministry responsible for the digitalization. And now I'm working mostly with the cities, and these are all associations that want to be smart, to smart use the resources. And I'm glad that I can share a few of findings that I came to during my work with the digitalization in that surroundings. First, what I would like to share are some basic convictions. So digitalization is basically like inventing the wheel for data management. Before everything was digital, everything we had to do by hand, by person. All the data have to be managed and manipulated by person. And now the digitalization make it much faster. So this is also why I believe that digitalization is also the engine of development of any organization or even any society. And the development that we went through is from, like we say, single cell organism when everyone had their own data, their own resources for their own processes, to one very connected ecosystem of people, organization, technologies, knowledge and disciplines where we all share the data, the infrastructure, the digital products. So we are basically part of one of big organism that we are living in. General principles about smart communities are basically the same. If we are talking about smart home or village or city or country or region or even world, the basic principles are always the same. We have different areas and different technologies that we have interconnect them, and there is no one which is more important or the others, and there is no technology or area that can exist without any other areas. So connectivity, sharing, coordination is the key to be successful. And mostly two ecosystems make us successful. One is ecosystem of technologies like IoT, blockchain, artificial intelligence, connected and automated drive, big data, and so on. So any of those technologies can communicate and have to communicate with all the others. And on the other side, we have the people side, where we need to have digital coalition. Digitalization is not the matter for government or academia or civil society, but it is the matter for all. So when we design our rules, our standards, our development paths, we have to design them together in the coalition, and then we can expect that we will also all support that way of development. So building ecosystems, not single solutions. And one of the things that always surprised me is how many things we do without asking us why. Why do we do this? I strongly believe that we basically have only 3 reasons why to do something, why to develop some new technology or even use it. One is that we are satisfied, that our quality of life is better because we enjoy it. We like things that make us comfortable, that we enjoy them. The second one is productivity. We use different technologies because we spend less time to produce better added value. And we can talk about this on personal level, spending less time staying in queue, in line or something like this, or in business level, so that with less resources, we can produce more and our benefits are much better. And third, very important aspect is sustainability. So if we want to be happy and successful today, we would like to be also tomorrow. So we have to always repeatedly asking ourselves, are we sustainable? Will tomorrow our association, our society be better than today? And if we have yes for all of that three questions, then we have why. Then we have reason to do something, and not only in the beginning, even during the development process, we have to stop and ask those questions again. And this has nothing to do with the technology. It has everything to do with the reason why to do something. And the next very important thing that I strongly believe is what makes our community smart. It's not only technology. It's first of all organization. We have to know who run the processes, who decides, who run the policies, and development of the organizational or digital development is part of any organization. So just like, for example, financial department is sitting on the board, also the digital department representative should sit on the board. And if, for example, mayor wants to have something new in the city, they will ask, do we have money? And they have to also ask, do we have data and supporting technologies? The second one is process. If we don't connect our processes, don't concern digitalization, any process, then we cannot connect the whole system. And if we digitalize unconnected processes, we will have partial solutions. The third, I do believe the most important thing and the most neglected thing is data. Data is fuel for everything, and usually we don't even know what data do we own, where it is, in which process this data is locked. So it's very important that we discover the data, that we describe the data, to understand it, and then share it, and then use it to fuel all our services and processes. And on the end, of course, we have to decide which technology is the best, what kind of a software, hardware, network we will buy and build. But this comes on the end when we know what we want, which processes we will connect, which organizational process we will follow, and of course, which data do we have to fuel all our processes. And to be flexible with the fast-changing world, there are a few very simple rules that make us robust with the changes. We can always react very fast, very stability if we divide the data from the application, if we open and share the data, open and share the platforms, if we use the building blocks, if we develop something, use it, reuse it. Decision-making about the digitalization have to be centralized. Digitalization is like nerve system. And if we have two heads, we don't know how to decide. So it have to be centralized. With the tendering process, this is very important, especially for public institutions. Don't tender technology descriptions. Tender the problem, tender the function. We have this problem, or we have to provide this function, and this is the tender. And then we can expect from the technology experts that they will find the best technology solution for our problem or function. You don't buy a car with the blueprint of what they want, of what you want that they build to you. You go to the store and see what's the best for your needs, and they know how to build cars. And also digital experts, they know how to build the digital solutions, so tender the problems. And of course, we have to have bold vision, but be patient with the steps, because digitalization always includes changing of our processes, of our behavior, and these changes have to be step by step. All the big changes on the D-Day usually end in flames. Small changes every day, this is the way to succeed. And of course, design thinking approach, what means we don't know what they need. We have to ask them, because they know very good what they need. Listen them carefully, and then design the solutions. And when we are comparing physical and digital world, I like this comparison, we can go around recreational and find interesting spots with the bicycle, with the car, or so on. The same is in the digital environment. We can go online and find different websites, different interesting information. But if we want to do the commercial exploitation in the real world, we have to do some planning, some scheduling, some machine buying and building. And the same is with the data. If you want to use seriously our digital system, we have to explore the data, we have to understand them, we have to catalog them, we have to make meta descriptions, the structures that we know what is our property, what is our data that we are using and that we will build our solutions on. And only then we usually face the problem of data security. And very often reaction is log the data, it's dangerous, so log them, don't let them use it. I always say, don't log the data, look the data. That means you open the data, but you carefully monitor the risks. You carefully follow what's happening with the data, who's accessing the data. You prevent that something bad will happen. And even if data abuse is happening, you can react very fast and correct the system that it will not repeat. And that process of risk assessment and monitoring leads us in any other areas, not only in cybersecurity, to the position of cognitivity. So if we know, for example, for the parameters of our organism, what is happening, we know that there is a disease before any symptoms are visible. It's the same with the traffic, it's the same with the energy and all other areas. And cognitivity is key to use, or key reason why to use digital technology and under artificial intelligence. If we can prevent bad things to happen, we can use our resources for development and not to correct when something bad is happening. So this cognitivity is very important, not only to run our systems well, but also to better use our resources. And in the city, this is the example from the city of Ljubljana, the Slovenian capital. We usually have city government department, city infrastructure providers, outside sources like e-government, tax offices, and so on. And of course, a lot of institutions in the city, schools, hospitals, NGOs, and so on. But they all communicate with their publics basically with own data and own processes. And what we want to do and what we are doing in the city of Ljubljana is to change this picture in that one, so that we have still the same institutions in the city, still the same departments and infrastructure providers and outsources, but they do contribute the data in common data lake. This data is managed, is described, is known, and then we can offer unified communication platform for citizens, for businesses, and even for our own dashboarding, that we can provide to everyone information, services, payment methods, loyalty system to influence on the expected or better behavior of our clients, and of course, engagement system to communicate with the clients, with the citizens, that we know what they want and they co-create our development policies. In city areas, it's always slightly different, but basically always the same. We have a lot of supporting systems for our own functioning. We have a lot of public systems that we have to provide in our community to our citizens, like lighting, roads. We have to develop culture, tourism, and everything else, communicate with the outside sources. But urban smart city platform basically brings identification, usually through city card, physical or on phone, payment system, data management system, reservations, online shop, alarming and monitoring and communicating in different ways with the different citizens, loyalty system, call center, and of course, business analytics, that we understand what happened and usually artificial intelligence, that we can predict what will happen. And in the whole region, there was also a lot of debate. I was also very active in coordinating the Western Balkan region's development. If we cooperate, we can develop faster, we can use our resources better. If we develop together, our systems are by default compatible, we can bring bigger projects, that we can have better influence in policies, that we are interesting for industry leaders. We can reduce the brain drain, which is very alarming in the Western Balkan region. And we can, of course, develop regional single market, which is easy to join to the European single market. And to conclude, I would like to repeat only that we share organizations or communities. So we have to be very alert that we also provide our organizational community members satisfaction, productivity, and sustainable development. We share infrastructure. So we have to negotiate the standards that will enable us to connect the processes and to connect to each other. We share processes, so it is smart to connect them if we know how to do it. And on the end, but I do believe the most important is we share data, because the data is fuel for any of our processes. So we have to know what data do we have to protect it, open it, and look it and share it to fuel all our processes. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Koprivnikar. Wow, how time flies. We have reached the well-deserved break. Please use the next few minutes for a coffee break or any other favorite refreshment, or just check on the kids in the other room. I'm sure they are still there. We will be back with an interesting roundtable that is not to be missed. See you at 11:45.
Pametno mesto je urbani center, ki uporablja tehnologijo za boljšo kakovost življenja občanov, za upravljanje virov na ekonomičen in trajnostni način ter za zmanjšanje okoljske onesnaženosti. Telekom Slovenije je skupaj s partnerji pripravil Modro mesto, povsem prilagodljivo ponudbo, ki modularno rešuje zahteve in potrebe naročnika. Z rešitvijo pametnih parkirišč Telekoma Slovenije je mogoče na enostaven način v realnem času spremljati zasedenost parkirnih mest, optimizirati uporabo prostora in časa v prometnem mestnem okolju, zaradi manj nepotrebnih voženj pri iskanju prostih parkirnih mest pa se izboljša tudi kakovost zraka. Telekom Slovenije omogoča uporabnikom polnjenje električnih vozil na javnih parkirnih površinah. Za umirjanje prometa na občutljivih odsekih ulic in cest ponujamo sistem za umirjanje prometa. Sistem zazna in evidentira vozila, ki prekoračijo hitrost, naročnik pa lahko na to lastnike teh vozil opozori z obvestilom ali izda plačilni nalog. Samodejno dinamično uravnavanje svetilnosti zagotavlja optimalno osvetlitev in posledično energijsko učinkovitost z vidnimi prihranki. Za kakovost bivanja poskrbimo z rešitvijo za pametno okolje. Z ustrezno terminalsko opremo je mogoče spremljati koncentracije plinov v ozračju, raven hrupa in padavin, kakovost zemlje in mokroto listov, pa tudi kakovost vode ter raven vodostaja. Prepoznani vzorci lahko prožijo posamezne alarme, ki naročniku omogočijo pravočasen odziv in posledično zmanjšanje vpliva na pridelek, okolico oziroma prihodek. Osrednja komunikacijska postaja za pametna mesta v obliki ulične svetilke združuje vrsto tehnoloških rešitev, ki zagotavljajo varnost in udobnost bivanja v urbanem okolju. V osrednji komunikacijski postaji je mogoče določiti parametre, ki so pomembni za doseganje zastavljenih ciljev. Bodisi da gre za zmanjšanje onesnaženosti okolja, dvig energetske učinkovitosti ali zgolj informiranje prebivalstva. Prek interaktivnega zaslona pa lahko nato občani preverijo kakovost zraka v realnem času, zasedenost parkirnih mest, spremljajo aktualne novice in podajo svoje mnenje v zvezi s spremembami v občini. Pametne storitve bodo s prihodom nove generacije mobilnih omrežij 5G še bolj pametne, saj prinaša 5G nove komunikacijske protokole z manjšo porabo energije in zanesljivejšim prenosom podatkov ter nove priložnosti za okolju in ljudem prijazen razvoj gospodarstva. Pridružite se modremu mestu tudi vi.
Hi everybody, welcome back. I must admit I checked some numbers during the break and I am delighted to share them with you. There are around 200 people attending this conference. Give yourselves an applause. Good job. And now the grand finale many of you have been waiting for. Our roundtable will be hosted by Martin Brinsko from the Open and Agile Smart Cities Network. He has some interesting guests and I'm eager to hear what they all have to say. Just a few technical details first. The roundtable will run for approximately 35 minutes, give or take, and rest assured there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. Please write your question or questions in the chat box and we will deliver it to the moderator. So let's hear it. Martin, it's your show now.
Thank you very much. My name is Martin Brunsko. I'm so delighted to be here at your conference, and I'm seeing it also in the context of our annual conference happening right after this, kicking off at 1 o'clock. So I think it's so interesting to see how these challenges of digitalization, which are really, really fundamental and are fundamentally changing our opportunities, but also giving some challenges, how they unfold in different regions of Europe and different regions of the world. There are similarities. So in Japan, in Korea, in Africa, in the US, but there are certainly also differences. And of course, we are all trying to find the sweet spot in making a great extension of our current situation and history and improving our future. So let's have a discussion about this with our excellent panel of speakers here. I will invite the colleagues to give a very quick introduction of themselves, who they are, and then we will discuss some of these issues. So we have with us Boris Koprivnica, former minister and also now working with the city of Ljubljana. So welcome, Boris. We have Tine Radinja from Skopje Loka municipality. My apologies for not pronouncing the names properly here. Also representing lots of municipalities across Slovenia. We have Katja Basta from the Digital Innovation Hub Slovenia. Welcome, so important with the capacity building that is needed. We have Andrej Prevc from Telekom Slovenia, and finally we have Nasiha Poster from Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Parliamentary Assembly, and also from Sarajevo. So please, could you give just a short introduction of yourself to the audience? Boris.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me for this roundtable. Lately, I'm dealing mostly with the smart communities, and it comes from cities to the countries and even the regions, because I've been dealing a lot with the Western Balkan region and how to combine all those smart technologies into regional improvement. Otherwise, my experience is from the ministry. I was Chief Digital Officer of the government of 2014-2018, and also running the ministry. So I strongly believe that technology comes on the end. First, we need to know what problem we need to solve and where do we want to go, and then we know what kind of technology. Thank you.
Fantastic. Tine.
Hello to everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Tine Radinja. I'm a mayor of Škofja Loka, a beautiful town, a bit 20 kilometers away from Ljubljana to the west north. I'm also presiding a committee of municipalities that are interested in digital transition within the Association of the Slovenian Municipalities, where we are discussing the challenges that lies ahead in combining the technical digital needs with the skills and the digital agendas that we set for ourselves. We try to match what are the existing European programs and national programs with the needs that are showing up on the local level. There are a lot of the challenges, and we try to organize them in different clusters to address also different states in which the development of the digital area or a smart city initiatives are in our cities. Looking forward to our discussion today. Thanks.
Thanks for having come here. Katja, from a digital innovation hub perspective, so you closed the gap between these levels of government, right?
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Katja Mohar-Bastar. I'm coming from Digital Innovation Hub Slovenia. We are actually mainly focused on economic part, so industry, small and medium enterprises. We conduct a lot of projects for companies, but we can see spillover effects for the wider society, also for maybe for local authorities, for administration and so on. So I will be glad to present you some of our projects.
Fantastic. And Andrei, you sit in a way also all around as a telecoms provider. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Andrei Preoc. I'm the chief of smart infrastructure development, services development, and a big part of our activities was aimed at the IoT solutions, let's say, testing and development, because we have, in the last 3 years, we have done a lot of work on pilot projects, which have gained, and we have gained a lot of interesting experience we would like to share.
Thank you very much. Nasiha, you're both a politician, you're also a practitioner and a planner. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I like to say for myself that I'm a bipolar or maybe divided person in general, since I'm, as you just said, I'm a politician working in MP of the Federal Parliament in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but I'm also a professor at the University of Sarajevo on urban planning, and also advisor of Prime Minister of Canton of Sarajevo for last 3 years on topics of urban planning, but as well for smart city. I'm also one of the pioneers, let's say, for Smart City Education Initiative. That is a regional board started by Friedrich Naumann Foundation. And we just conclude one research on smart local communities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. That is something that I want to share with you. And also we just launched the platform for Smart City of Canton of Sarajevo, which is also something that I'm really, really glad to share with you. So I'm really keen to be here today with you, and to exchange all the knowledges and experience that I could probably learn a lot from my colleagues from panel today. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, a fantastic panel. So Boris, you have had the responsibility to actually make all of this work. So what's on the top of your mind? What are you thinking now after half a decade of having the responsibility and now seeing how important still the digital part is in reaching our goals on different levels, from the local level to the national level to even the global level?
Well, if I presented in a lecture before a little more about my experiences, but to be very short, how I understand based on these experiences is that usually we jump in the technology, but what we need to be a smart community, city, country, or whatever, is we need to know, let me use an analogy again. We need to know who is driving. That's organization. We need to know where we are going, which way we will take. These are processes. Then we need to know what kind of a vehicle we have. That's technology. And of course, we need to fuel the vehicle, and that's the data. So if you solve these four areas and not jump with the vehicle because you select the vehicle on the end, when you know where you're going, who is driving, do we have the right fuel, and then you select the technology. If you do this, then you are on the sustainable long-term path to the digitalization. But if you bet everything only on technology, this will not work. And another very important thing is also with the principles, digitalization is like a nerve system of our communities, because we share the same processes, data, services, and so on. And when it comes to the nerve systems, there can only be one head. If you have more heads, then you can never decide. This is the silo solutions. So it's important to appoint chief digital officer. It's important to understand that digitalization is as important as finances or human resources and so on. So this have to be, or will have to become, one of our main topics when we decide about anything. Just like always is the question, do we have the money? We have to also ask, do we have the digital resources? And if you do this, then of course you can speed up your digitalization and your community development, but you have to do these four areas, not only one.
Fantastic. So Tine, okay, there's one head, one nervous system, but there are many municipalities. How does this look from your side?
There are many realities in which people are living even within a small country like Slovenia, as the municipalities are very different. I believe it's the same all through the region as well, that living in a big city or living in a small village is very different. And also like in terms of how ambitious the town was in the past years, how much effort was put into the digitalization of infrastructure or building the infrastructure, that's very different. However, the challenges of the future are the same for us. And what we are discovering more and more when we talk with different municipalities is that a thing that we are lacking, and it could be a fifth element to what Boris was just saying, is, if I use the metaphor again, we need enough people with a driving license to actually start talking about the cars, and where we are going and how we will get there. So we need to put a lot of emphasis also on digital education, of educating the educators, of educating the people who work in the municipalities to be actually able to think about the challenges and solutions to go forward.
Right. So that's a perfect cue to you, Katja. So we need capacity, and we probably need it on well, certainly all sides of the market, and also all parts of you know, the territory. So how do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I can present maybe as a good practice what we've done for the small and medium enterprises, because one of our tasks is to establish the catalog of digital profiles. We conducted a research about what are the main digital profiles, and we focused on the 5 profiles in the company to see what are the digital competences they would need, so how to describe them. Of course, we took into account also all the standards from European Union and worldwide. So the research was really deep. And we saw that there is quite some way to go also in that. So maybe if I also use the same metaphor, before driving license, we need some learning hours to go to auto school, to driving school to get a driving license. So one of the things we would like to do is to put an emphasis on the study programs as well, to see what the employers need, what local authorities need, to prepare young people already for the studies, and maybe study programs to see what will be needed in a few years' time. I once heard in recent that there are 4 jobs waiting for one engineer. I believe that's true, but still it's not the motivation which would be sufficient for people to decide for the technical studies. But I think that we have to see that as a whole. So to see the education in the schools, in the primary schools, in the secondary schools, in the studies, and don't forget for the lifelong learning. So also for our co-workers, for us, for ourselves, we need to gain new skills, new competences, which our new environment demands us to do. Yeah. So these are the projects we are running as DIC Slovenia, and I think that they can be used also for the municipalities and also for public administration. Maybe another thing is where to start. There are many tools for measuring digital maturity. Oh, yes. So we can get like self-reflection to look ourselves in the mirror. Okay, my company or my office, we are now standing here. What is our goal? Where do we want to go? And what do we have to prepare for that to achieve that goal? So I think there is some planning and some self-evaluation needed for all of us. I also believe there are many players on the market who can offer that. We can give a lot of information as well from our projects. So this is from our perspective.
Yeah, but it will take time also. You talk about the school education, so we are talking generations, in fact. So it will also take resource, not just a lot of engineering students. Andre, I'm sure that you can provide much of this already today. So from your perspective, what do you see? I mean, what is needed then to bridge the gap to some future where, you know, all the competences are there, the understanding is there, the roads, if you use the metaphor, are appropriate. So what do you see as the necessary steps that would be helpful?
Well, thank you for this question. Actually, I would like to emphasize again the experience we have gained through this "let's do it" approach, which we have done the last 3 years, as mentioned before. I think we actually municipalities need more bravery and, of course, and knowledge what is worth doing, because we can support whatever they will decide. But what to do, as mentioned before, is the main question. What is meant to give additional value to the citizens? What will make the resources more used, and so on? These are the main questions which we will gladly support when they are answered. And let's say we have in communication with municipalities, we have noticed a big lack of bravery, or let's say, let's try something. We have managed to do this with Novo Mesto, for example, municipality of Novo Mesto. We have managed to do something with some communal, some city companies and so on, especially related to energy consumption and water consumption and so on. Typical use cases which come later when you know what to do, as mentioned before.
Yeah. So Nasia, bravery. So you're of course not speaking from the Slovenian perspective, but from someone who is very, very close to actually making it happen, like Tine. So do you like bravery? I'm sorry to be so blunt because I know you don't, but I'm guessing that's not at all that is needed.
Well, I really like I love to hear what my colleagues just mentioned, and I just wrote myself a little thing that I heard. And again, I have to first of all say that I totally agree with Mr. Kopnevika and Mr. Prevc. Since I just, as I mentioned, finished the research that I have done with the Friedrich Naumann Foundation about the smart community in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And these are exactly the answers that we got and we collected after this really huge project where we tried to reach 145 municipalities in Bosnia and Herzegovina in both entities, trying to understand what is actually this question that we have as the most important one. And I believe and I agree that the bravery is one of them. So also I will agree with Katja when she said that the education process is really important, and it is not only for the school students or pupils, but also to all of those people that are meant to produce the new values for the cities, for the citizens, and also to municipality as an administration system. We have in Bosnia and Herzegovina really huge, large administrative system, which is almost every fourth citizen is working in administration systems. So you can imagine how much bravery we could have if we just try. So the first thing that I noticed is that we have in 145 municipalities, we just had 4 of them without email. So that's also something that is really important to understand that on which level we are. Everyone just said that they need a lot of money they don't have a finance to.
I think we lost the voice briefly. Let's wait for a few seconds. Nasia, you're back now, I think.
Okay, maybe my connection.
We lost you just for a few seconds, not worry. Please continue.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my connection is probably not so bad, so probably that is also something that we have to change in our country, make it more okay. So as I just the answers came, but did you lose me?
It's a little bit on and off. Let's try for a few more seconds and see. Otherwise, maybe you can shut off your camera. Perhaps that helps a little bit with the bandwidth.
Yeah, that could be. I can do it immediately. Let's try like this. I hope it will be better. So I just wanted to emphasize that I don't agree that the finance, it's fine? Okay. I have to disagree finance are the problem and to agree that actually idea to how to deal with the issues that you have in your community and to have the bravery to start to change things, to have the plan. The really important thing is that our municipality, it's the answer that we got from them. They don't have at least the strategy for development. And then we have to start to talk about the smart city how to have smart city solution if you don't have even the vision of your development of your own municipality.
Sure. Okay.
That is something you have to start to work on.
Yeah. Right. So certainly there are different starting points, but then okay, let's perhaps introduce the fact that Europe is now investing heavily in digital transformation, both to the social benefit, economic benefit, and environmental benefit. There is the Digital Europe program, which is a completely new program. There is the recovery and resilience facility, which is by far the biggest program recently introduced. So hundreds of billions of euros, and a good chunk will be set aside, 20% for digital transformation and digital evolution. So I'd like to hear from you. so you can actually get co-financing for building both digital capacity, so data platforms for municipality, for regions. So that's one thing I would like to hear. Are you ready to receive that in a way? Are you ready for it? So we heard Nasiha reflect on the readiness that has to be there, even just to take the money. Then what about the companies? Are they ready? And Katja, you talk a lot about the SMEs. Are they ready then to deliver their services? Are they registering on the catalogs that are coming forward? We will talk now in our conference in a little while about the city-by-city catalog, where both cities and companies can very easily put their services on and show the impacts that they will get, very closely related to the benchmarking or the measurements that we are using. So how does that look from your side? I'm just putting these questions to all of you. Are you ready? Are you seeing ready actors both on the public administration side, on the company side, and also, if you will, in the market where they meet, so that it's visible? I don't know if you've have some ideas. Maybe Boris, we can start with you, because you have kind of given a broad overview of these mechanisms. Are you ready?
Maybe as I see the current situation is that very good is that we are lately talking a lot about the standards, sharing experience, sharing everything, because again, with the analogy, if we want to drive different cars with different people on the same road, we have to decide what kind of a signs we need. Do we ride on the right or on the left side? And this is what we are doing now. So it's not, we are slowly shifting from having one solution, like one car, to having one system in which all the components have to fit in. And this is when we are talking about data exchange and everything else.
Yep.
The second very important thing is about the readiness, that local communities start to join, as Tina said before, in the associations. They are trying to negotiate first inside the associations. What do we want? How do we will have to fulfill? Because this is important. And then again, maybe a little reflection on the education and skills that was talking before. If we have available solution that makes us happy, comfortable, lazy, if you want. If we have a solutions that makes us productive, because we don't need to stay in line, we can do it online, or maybe we can produce faster. And if we have a solution available, which is sustainable, that will not destroy us in few years, then we have motivation. And again, when it comes to the skills and education, tell me how many courses did we have for using general population to use a smartphone? 0.
Yes.
Motivation and existing technology. It is the same with the smart cities. We have to provide the technology, we have to provide the solutions. And if this is right, people will find the skills and find the way, because they will want to use it. And that's the key question.
Right, right. I happen to know quite well the statistics, what happened when the mobile phone was emerging. And it was so that in the older population, women learned to use it much, much faster than the older men. Why? Because they wanted to stay in touch with their daughters and their grandchildren. So they learned. I mean, and now you can watch any beach and you can see who's commanding the beach. Yeah. So Tine, what do you think? Are you from seeing from your own municipality, but also from the association, the readiness to put up a profile on a catalog? So saying, actually, we would like to show what we are doing. Also finding services when you procure through these more common means. So how does that sound to you in terms of time?
Municipalities sees the forthcoming programs as an opportunity, maybe a big opportunity and a big motivation also to get ourselves ready if we are not yet. And I believe that that's more or less the same across Europe, not just in our region, not just in Slovenia, not just with a few municipalities, but from the biggest cities to the smaller towns. And using this opportunity, this, let's say, milestone in influx of investment to get ourselves really ready. I have already spoken about the knowledge. That is one need. It's also emphasized within the program that there is a specific portion of the money going into building the skills of the people. On the other areas, like what municipalities would also expect from the solutions that will be provided through this program, it's a lot of talk and a lot of agreement about the interoperability. The ownership of the data, of course, is one of the issues that we discuss how will be done in the future. It's a lot of talk about developing the solutions that are then interexchangeable or open also to other municipalities, that when we are developing something, it's not just for the town or city that it's developing, but will this be able and free to use or open to use for other towns as well? And all these challenges are slowly filling in the places in a big jigsaw that we call digitalization. Yeah. And so just to answer your question directly, if not ready, getting there.
But are you creating a guide? So in Slovenia, I guess you do like all the countries. I mean, you exchange, but at some point, so the Netherlands, Denmark, others have been producing these national guides where, like Boris said, we get a common language, and we also get an understanding of the maturity level. So we get a way to express what we talk about when we talk about road signs and so on. So is there any plans to put that into some kind of guide format from the municipality association side?
Yeah, I can answer on the side of the municipalities, because of course there is also the governmental part, which will be also, which should or will publish that kind of guidelines as well. What we put together was a statement regarding the digitalization process, where we described our common ground, let's say minimal standards of what are our expectations in this process.
Okay, fantastic. So Katja, that's playing directly to you. So, I mean, building capacity to be ready so that the technical investments and when the guides, the standards and so are ready, well, you have the capacity, right? So how do you see this readiness?
Okay, maybe just a short reply. After the really user interface of the smartphone, there is a lot of technology. Somebody must develop all those screens that you just slide and go there, and they learn how you do it and everything. So there is a huge amount of development behind all the technology. Also, I think smart cities are special potential victims for the cybersecurity attacks. I think there is a huge potential as well for the cybersecurity experts to enter the play here. And also, I think on the open data and open data management, there is a huge potential as well, because all the services will develop further on the AI algorithms, and they will need the data on usage and everything. So there is a huge potential for the AI governance as well. So I think we are ready to start, but there is a huge work field to be fulfilled. There is so much work to do with all those things that we have to protect people from themselves. I also come from telecommunications, as I told you before. I see where were the opportunities in the past for all the fraudulent behavior of very innovative people. So maybe Andrei will say something about that as well. But more than we have in the systems, more than we have developed, there is unless there is standardized, more opportunities for the bad guys there are to exploit the field. So also, I believe that people will initially know how to use all the services from the smart cities, but that they have to be at least warned that, okay, you live there, your data, that is where they will be stored, that is who will be using them, and all the, I don't know, all the further usage will be anonymized and aggregated, so they will not know that it's you and what you were doing there and so on. In that sense, we will also gain trust and maybe more usage from everybody. So, yeah.
Let's hear from, thank you, Katja. Let's hear from Andrea Nasiha also, but please, to the audience, I mean, now we will take some questions after a short finishing off here on reflections. So please put in the chat any questions you might have to the colleagues here, anything that popped up during the conversation, and then we will finish off by offering some answers to that. So Andre, are you two short questions? Are you ready from the telecom side to when municipalities get financing for building these platforms or according to European standards? Are you ready to deliver these then? And the next question is, so how do we address the security? I think that's a very, very relevant point there from Katja.
Yes, thank you. Yes, of course, we are ready. We have, let's say, that's why we invested so much our own time and efforts, and also communication with potential partners for delivering the use cases in the end. We have enabled the technology for coverage, for data collection. We have, let's say, experimented and also established in central platform for data lake and so on. Maybe we are not completely ready regarding today's topics of common interoperability issues. We are, of course, ready to fulfill that, because that's a must and has to be of course, fulfilled to have a general or wider effect of all these projects. I would like, before going to security and cyber issues, I would also like to mention that we have noticed in the meantime, in the last half year, an establishment of a layer of consulting companies, which will probably enable also the, let's say, translating services from, the needs to how, from what to how, let's say, and what has to be fulfilled, like GDPR requirements and so on. Regarding cyber attacks, of course, this is our main topic all the time. We are working on these issues not only for ourselves. We are also developing heavily the services for companies and also municipalities, of course, to actively provide services for preventive maintenance, or let's say taking care of putting the wall in front, let's say, somehow. That's so yes, I think mainly the technology is ready, the companies are more or less ready, but not all are already have set up the combinations which are necessary to have an effective deployment.
Well, it's encouraging also to hear that there is actually, from the supply side, a good capacity already. Of course, the whole field is still evolving, so nobody has the final pieces yet. Nasiha, I hope you can hear us. So maybe a final remark here from your side before we turn to the questions. But so one thing is security. What about sovereignty, autonomy? So okay, if everything works, but you are tied in your hands because you cannot control the infrastructure. Any thoughts on how to get the best of both worlds? The dynamics, the convenience, the efficiency, the inclusivity, but also to be sovereign and to choose as a politician.
And you want me to answer in the next 1 minute?
Well, I think we know many of the more concrete challenges, but at some point it should be available for policy making, for decisions.
Yeah, answer as one who is Sarajevo, so one in the major, let's say, cities of the country. So it's totally country. So when we are talking about Sarajevo, yes, we are totally ready, as Mr. Radinja says, for Škofja Loka. Yeah. In some other cities like Luka or some like that, yeah. So which are the bigger cities, university cities, and have the money as well. But when we are talking about the rest, I have to say that we have only maybe 30%, and that is the exact data that we have. Municipality could be of this long distance trip that we have to take on. So as we already mentioned, it's not only the question of having the companies that are ready, and I think that in Bosnia and Herzegovina we do have companies that are ready, and just you just said, tied up our hands, have a complicated system, so manner of jurisdiction, of bravery, as we already mentioned. So it will not be an easy trip. It will be a lot of holes on it. So, but we are looking for no more city to city. You mentioned and links that I'm really looking for.
So I think the sound is breaking up a little bit.
To start something here.
Okay, thank you, Nasia. The sound was breaking up a little
Again.
bit. What I got out was you're really looking forward to more like city to city, community, country to country collaboration, so that we can solve the things that we cannot solve in isolation. At least that's what I picked from the. You're free to use the comments if I'm mistaken or they're all.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so these are the conditions we live by for the moment. The network defines us. I'm so sorry I could not be in Slovenia today for this conference. I would have liked to be. On the other hand, if I should have been in Slovenia, I could not have been in Brussels to open the city by city conference in an hour or in half an hour. So in that sense, I'm also happy. There's a question. I only see one question, but what about social innovations? So it's a little bit connected. So what we talk about, how do we not just get efficiency and economic gains or environmental and climate gains, how do we also get an inclusive future? We have seen, of course, the situation around the world where inclusivity and migration, well, very, very different situations around the world. But that's a real thing. I mean, we've had in Europe, we've had Brexit. In the US, I will not even mention that anymore, we know. So any thoughts, and I give this open to the floor, any thoughts about social innovations, how this can be improved? Maybe Katja, you have some views on this as one of the capacity building persons.
Yes, well, I think that for social innovation, for inclusivity, smart cities are a really good platform to include all the spectrum for environmental, for social inclusivity. I think that, as I mentioned already before, also open data can help with that, because open data represents a huge potential for innovation, also social, also technical. You can see so many things you can discover from those parameters, if they are conducted right, if they are actually gained and stored at the correct manner. And I think that if the environment, maybe Mr. Radinia will tell more about that. If the correct environment is established, which encourages, which is somehow encourages the a dialogue or the debate on the innovation, on the social matters, on the environmental matters, I think that a lot of things can develop from there. But we have to provide the platform. We have to provide the somewhere you feel safe, so you can express your opinion, so you can develop your idea, and also that we give them the tools, which are actually now the data. Let's face it, and
yes.
A lot of things can come from there. So.
Okay, good to hear. I think we are about at the end of the hour, at least for my side. I think we have been very widely around these topics. So in that case, I would like to thank you all for your participation. As we have seen, we're not starting from scratch. We're not there yet, but we have really a good starting point also in the new instruments that are coming up. That's basically a new thing that will help recover, but hopefully also to be in a better shape over the years. So thank you to you all. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. Thank you to the audience for listening in. And I give back the floor to the host to finish the session. I will go to our City by City conference now. You are very welcome to join. It's citybycity.com, and it's streamed live. And there are 30 sessions on all of these things, and very much focused also on the practical matters, how these can be set up. As you said, Boris, how we can agree on road signs, how we can get the financing in place, and getting inspired actually from all over the world, not just Europe. So thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you soon and be back in physical after summer. Thank you.
I apologize that the time for the roundtable ran out. I'm sure everybody would like to chat some more, but we have another interesting speaker and topic for you. Our last speaker, Mr. Matej Kalan from Tourism Kranjska Gora Association, will tell us how have they put their data to work and what have they achieved.
Hi, my name is Matej Kalan, and I'm a digital strategist here in my hometown of Kranjska Gora. So what we're going to do today, we're going to take a look at what our digital efforts were in the past and what our vision for the future is. As we all know, the only constant in our life is change, and the change is digital. So let's take a look. The first efforts we did were in the tourism sector. We went completely from the traditional kind of marketing into the digital one, and that turned out to be a huge success for us. And a lot of other destinations throughout Slovenia are now following the path of Kranjska Gora. And our next effort, where we want to improve the lives of the local population to make living here in Kranjska Gora even better, is something that I'm going to talk about right now. So how can digitalization actually help? It can help a lot with the IoT technology. IoT technology is something that can be, our technology devices can be connected to the internet, and we can monitor them remotely, and then control some things remotely as well through them. And in the age of high-speed internet connections, these things can be done relatively easy. So let's take a look in some of the areas where IoT technology can be implemented. One of those areas is traffic. Then we have street lighting, utilities, security, environment, and at the end, we need an information center where we gather all that data. So in the traffic area, we can monitor parking lot occupancy, and we can monitor traffic density. We can analyze all that data and then reroute the traffic where the free parking lots are, or where the streets aren't as congested as elsewhere. Because in the summer months or winter months, where we get a lot of guests to our destination, this can cause quite some problems, not just for the tourists, but also for the local population as well. And through IoT technology, let's say we have some parking lots on the other side of the town that are occupied and where the most of the guests want to go. So before they go there, realize that the parking lots there are all taken, we can have the signature tables that can reroute them to some other parking lots on the other side of the town. This way, we reduce the congestion and we reduce the time of them getting to the empty parking lots as well. And they will have more time to enjoy our beautiful scenery here. And then street lighting. Most of the lights nowadays are changing into the LED lights, because LED lights are way less power consuming, and this way they have less impact into to the environment. And what we can do with those lights as well, let's say during the night, they don't have to be fully on all the time, but their power consumption could go down to, let's say, just like 25%. And then when vehicle or people approach, they can go to the full power. This way, we also reduce the power consumption, and this is also something that's having an impact into the environment as well. Utilities like garbage collection and water monitoring. So when garbage collection happens once or twice a week, the garbage collection team goes all the way around the town. But that doesn't necessarily have to happen if not all the garbage bins are full. So what can we do about it? What we can do about it, all the garbage bins can be fitted with sensors. And let's say when the garbage collection team goes, they can have the data only which bins are full, and their route can be optimized just to pick the garbage bins where they are full. This way the route is going to be shorter, and it's going to require them less time to do that. And this way we optimize that process. And then when it comes to water monitoring, not all monitoring has to be done manually, but we can have sensors to monitor water temperature, water purity, water levels through output, stuff like that. And all that data can be transmitted through the IoT technology into the information center. In this way, we optimize those processes as well. Safety concerns. We can have those sensors for the fire prevention. Let's say in different buildings, if the fire occurs, those sensors can transmit the data into the local fire stations. And then if the fire happens in nature, we can have some sensors there as well. Not to monitor only if the actual fire happens, but if the humidity is in the level where there is a fire danger or things like that. So we can do preemptively some of the things. And then avalanche monitoring. When we have a lot of new snow, what kind of conditions there are, how much snow did it fall, what's the moisture of the snow. We can monitor all that stuff remotely and see what kind of avalanche danger there is around us. Flood prevention, monitoring the river levels, road monitoring, and then when we have some kind of public events, we can monitor those events through the sensors or cameras to get better safety for our guests as well. And as I said before, as I mentioned, there are many things that help our environment here as well. When we optimize those processes, we get things to be done way more efficiently, energy efficiently, and this and there's going to be a smaller impact on our environment as well. IoT technology can also be used for smart farming because we can monitor the soil, the moisture of the soil, the structure of the soil and stuff like that. And then we can improve the logistics, and this way we support the sustainability in our destination. If we want to monitor all those data, and if we want to get all that data to the right end users, we need to have an information center that gathers and then processes that data and then delivers it. This can be done delivering the information to the traditional digital channels that we know, like internet, some traditional channels like TV, and we can install some new channels like digital signage. Digital signage can be done throughout the town and can be there to deliver the information to the local population and to the tourists. And it can be done instantly. Once the information gets to the information center, it will automatically be displayed on those digital signage displays. These information centers are going to monitor the air purity, water levels, traffic density, density of the people in certain areas, various road closures and other emergencies, vacancies in the apartments or hotels, opening hours of shops, restaurants, health services, and some other public services. And we have this way we have a possibility to interact with the citizens here in the municipality and also to interact with our guests. And same wise that they have the possibility to interact with the local institutions. But in order to get there, it's not just like implementing that kind of technologies and then everything's gonna work. Where we have to take our first steps is modernization of school curriculum through the improving, to get and to improve the digital competencies of our young local population. Because if we want to grow here in the sector of digital, we need to have people that know how to use that and be experts in that area as well. This way, we can achieve the fastest growth possible. And if we want to have a long-term strategy that works, putting the effort in our schools is the main thing. Now, let's go quickly. We have to work with youth centers like Zavod 404. They focus on the research and working with youth. We have to work with partners. Those partners are academic. And then we have partners in the area of the tourism, like on the national level, Feel Slovenia, regional partners or other tourist destination. And then we have local partners here in Kranjska Gora. We have technology partners like Telekom Slovenia that can help us implement all those technology and provide us with the high-speed internet that we need to work with them. And then we have the technology hardware and software partners that we need to use. Financing can be done through EU funds, some commercial activities that can come from this, and then sponsorship. This is something that's really interesting thing for others to adopt. And if we're the first one, we're gonna get the sponsors as well. One thing we have to do is to build up technology and co-working hub here locally, because this will attract the digital nomads. Digital nomads are people who travel and have digital competencies. This way we attract know-how to our destination, and we can have the sharing of knowledge between the locals and the visitors. And this will get us on the worldwide radar as well. So people will know about us. And when the competencies here in the town rise, we can have a training center for people to come learn from us how to use that and implement these things in their own regions or towns. At the end, we're gonna need a good CRM system where we can optimize all these logistic processes in the municipality and also to optimize the marketing opportunities for the evolving tourism sector. And key to our success of implementing and developing the IoT technologies is to improve our everyday life with help of those smart technologies, to reduce the cost of operations, to improve the living standard and our competitiveness, and get the high-tech personnel here in our local community. So I would like to thank you for your attention and have a good day and prosperous year in 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Kalan. I wish Kranjska Gora all the best in reaching new milestones when it comes to smart city and tourism. And tada, that's all, folks. Well, the Looney Tunes signature closing sequence is about to get very real. Today's second Southeast Europe Smart Society Conference is ending shortly. I'd like to express a big thank you to the organizers, the ICT Innovation Network and ICT Association of Slovenia at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Slovenia. We couldn't have done it without the Digital Innovation Hub Slovenia, Municipality of Ljubljana, the Association of Municipalities and Towns of Slovenia, Romanian Smart City Association and European Exchange Development Association of Romania. And of course our partners, especially our gold partner, Telekom Slovenije, gold sponsors Endava Digital Solutions, silver partner Zheng Group, bronze partner Optifarm, supporters for Greater Digital Admission of Slovenia, the AI for SI initiative, and last but not least, our strategic partner, Open and Agile Smart Cities Organization. But before we part ways, only digitally, of course, let me give the word to Mr. Kotar, who prepared a short recap of today's topics and discussions. This is his takeaway. Bye.
Yes, hello, and thank you for the word. Thank you for the final word. For the conclusion, what I have prepared is actually a short analysis what have been talked about today. And I would like to share this with you. So please let me know. Okay, I hope so you can see this information. So I have just gathered the key words from different presentations, and I have tried to group those keywords by meaning actually. And so to go quickly through that, so different colors means are from different presenters, and what the presenters have been talking about is the declaration, the European declaration, political movement. This is one of the topics that have been talked about. Another topic was financing. This was addressed by many of presenters. Then a reference project. This was also mentioned. A little bit about the legislation, the collaboration. The strong topics was capacity buildings, education, digital skills, gap in lack of knowledge, digital competencies, brain drain reducing opportunities. This was one of the important topics today. And then to move on, of course, a lot of presenters were talking about platforms, digital platform, common platform, shared IoT platform, smart city platform, reference architecture, unified platforms for citizens, and so on. Then another topic that was addressed today was cybersecurity, threats, risk assessment, and then of course partnership, cooperation, business models. Then to move on, shared data, open IoT data, and so on. And then the next topic was shared good practice, working with partners, technology partners, ecosystem of cooperation, digital coalition. And then if we move on, there was topics related to harmonization mechanism, standards. Fiverr was mentioned a lot. minimal interoperable mechanisms, and other organizations such as OWASP, Fiber building blocks, context broker building blocks, and then of course MIM, MIM1, MIM2, MIM3, Central National Depository of Data Models, using MIMS to get public funding, OWASP means standardization, and so on. Vendor lock-in was mentioned. And then again, okay, security risks. I'll skip this one. So this one is this part is important. So strategies based on real needs, human-centric society, placing citizens at the top, well-being for citizens. The reason why, ask users before designing solution. So this was something that was addressed by many presenters. Then we have regional alignment, regional challenges, same data models. This was also addressed. And then, of course, data utilization, data economy, foster IT economy, value chain building. This was topics related to economy. Then again, data standards, interoperability, reusing data, silo solutions was mentioned, and so on, data and service connectivity. Then technological part is easier to solve. This was also mentioned not just once, so Tinder the function, not technology. Learning from what has been done. And again, economic revitalization, strength of economy, opportunities for companies, business ecosystems, single market, and so on. So this was quickly the recap of the main focuses of different presentations that we had today. And I believe that those focuses will lead us in our developments of smart society solutions, cooperation, and actually building economy based on that. So with that, I would like to conclude today's conference. I would like to thank everyone for attending. And also from my side, I would like to invite everyone to attend the OWASP Global City by City Conference, which starts in 9 minutes. So you have a few minutes to grab a coffee and prepare for the next part. Thank you very much, and see you next year. Goodbye.